The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, what's up, guys? So how's it going? Welcome to this session. I'm super excited that you are here, and I have a very special guest with me today. His name is Crawford, and he has an amazing lesson for you guys. If you don't know yet, Zach is pretty much the person that got me started on the internet, the person that has been teaching me a big part of the knowledge that I know in the internet, related to conversions, strategy, and pretty much just sales in general. Zach is the one that actually got me started online, and that's why I brought him here, because he has tremendous value for you guys. So I'm super excited about that, and hopefully you're ready. You have your notepad out, and from here, pretty much I'm just gonna pass it on to Zach. So what's up, man?
What's going on, guys? Zach here. If you can, really quick, just give me a yes in the chat box. Make sure you can hear my audio and whatnot. I'm going to switch over to the presentation in just a minute. All right, yes. All right, guys, just to let you guys know ahead of time, I'm not going to be able to see your questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm only operating off my laptop here. So once I go full screen, I'm not going to be able to see your questions. So what I want you to do is write down anything that doesn't make sense. So if I cover something that's a little bit confusing, I cover something you want me to go into deeper detail, I'll literally sit on here for an hour after I have to show you examples, whatever you need help with. So just note anything down, and at that point, I'll make sure I get every single question answered before we get going. So I'm going to switch to full screen, and we'll jump in. All right, guys, so what we're basically talking about here is how to turn a small audience into big profits. And this is my framework that pretty much I use in every single business. I actually didn't get started by teaching people how to make money online. I kind of just ended up in that business, by default over time. One second, something's popping up. What's going on? Can everyone see my screen? Nope. Okay, yes. Okay, it's good now. Okay, good. All right. So basically what we're talking about, and the chat window's up, 1 second. There we go. Okay, so what we're talking about is really personal branding. If you listen to Sebastian when he first sold, his course, he basically talked about personal branding and building a long-term business. And a lot of people in many different business models, everything from honestly selling their own courses, doing affiliate marketing, doing drop shipping, they think really short term. What I'm teaching you is how to get hyper conversions. Basically take a small pocket of people, whether it's drop shipping, it's email list building, whatever you're doing, and turning it into massive profits. So when somebody else gets 1% conversions and they're happy with that, we're going to focus on getting 10% conversions. So really quick, what I want you to do is shut out all distractions. I created this little cool demographic because this is something I know when I started years ago. I started in this business like 6 years ago, and what I would do, I'd be surfing Instagram, Facebook, watching things and doodling and whatnot. And if you're watching a webinar and you're going through and learning stuff and then trying to do it, you're going to be confused. You're going to have that information overwhelm feeling. And there's nothing for sale on here. So literally everything we're doing here, I'm walking you through my framework of the mountaintop view of what I do. And I've also created an additional 2.5-hour course that's going to walk you step by step through on the additional training. So you're going to get everything you need to literally create a very big business with this. Now, with that being said, I don't want to spend a ton of my time like a lot of the gurus that like to show off their income screenshots. I'm going to show you a few different things to show you proof that it works. It's not really my style. I was able to create a 7-figure business with what I'm teaching you. I use this in everything from offline clients, so basically helping business owners and offline businesses get clients, to using it as an expert space where basically you have knowledge and you sell your own courses, kind of like what Sebastian does. I use it with my affiliate marketing business and many different niches. So this works pretty much in everything. I've even frameworked everything up even for drop shipping or the e-com space, just because I know a lot of you guys have that. So instead of bragging about myself, I'm just going to show you the stuff that I do, and I'll let you sum up what you think at the end. So the reason you want to really care about turning a small audience into big profits, basically what I call this is my raving fans recipe. And raving fans is something, once you create it, it's literally money long term. It's money forever. It's not something short term. So when you build a personal brand, and understand a personal brand doesn't necessarily mean it just has to be you as a face. You can create like a personal brand around like a company name. Originally I started out with my brand Psychologically Unemployable just because of the concept in my head. I was psychologically unemployable. Later it becomes Zach stepping out from, behind behind the scenes to actually becoming a face of the brand. So understand if you're in, say, the e-commerce space, which I know a lot of you guys are, you can create a brand that doesn't need to have your face on it. Now, ideally, when you actually put a face with the brand, you're going to get way better results, in my opinion. But what you're building here is a long-term stable business, especially like when we're talking e-commerce and drop shipping. Most people are focused on making an income stream. An income stream is far different than a business. We're going to talk about that later. It also is email list building, but on a much deeper level. If you understand what email list building is, which we're going to talk about in a bit, it's basically, how do I put this? This is where people talk about the laptop lifestyle or push button money, right? I hate those terms. I really just despise them, but that's really what this is. When you build an email list, you literally can create money on demand. I've literally done $50,000 days. I've had $100,000 tax bills that I had to pull myself out of, and I literally just sent an email with an offer and was able to pay for all that. Now, it's also a deeper connection. Most people, they're talking to people and not directly with them. Or I should say they're talking at them. So they don't really have a connection with their audience. Whether they're in an e-commerce space, they're an expert space, it doesn't matter what they're doing. Most people are really they're not really talking directly to their customer. When you create a dynamic conversation, you create a loyal fan that's going to buy everything you sell. Now, it's also higher than normal email open rates. Like when you get into email list building, what happens is a lot of people just spam, offer after offer. If you're on any guru's list, you probably know what I'm talking about, where basically they send you a new offer every single day. This is not the way to get hyper conversions. This is not the way to take a small audience and make big profits with it. I'm going to show you a different way of doing things. Now, it's also higher than normal email click-through rates. So understand, especially like drop shipping, right? More click-through rates means more sales, more people to your sales page, more people looking at your offer, more people buying. It's also higher than normal sales conversion. So as I talked about before, a lot of people in the industry, they're happy with a 1 to 3% sales conversion. For me, that's horrible. I want 5%, 10%, 15% or better. When you do this, just slight little tweaks that you do that everybody else is not doing, it makes a big difference in your ROI and your bottom line. Also, a community that collaborates. So if you take a look at, say, Sebastian's community, right, his Facebook groups, when you have a group that's collaborating or they're for one big mission or they're for something that's a passionate topic, it's going to naturally make you more money. Now, also a community that helps each other succeed. So one thing you want to do is create a group that's really working together and not working individually. When you create something people can get behind, a big idea, something that they like, even say in the dog niche, for example, in e-commerce, like I actually plan to create a dog niche site. And, when you get a bunch of people actually passionate about sharing their dogs, their dog pictures and things like that, you're naturally going to get customers. And finally, a rapid fans base. So basically, when you have fans, you literally can suck at marketing and they're literally going to buy everything you sell. Now, who's this for? Basically, anybody that's an expert. So if you have knowledge that you want to package up, maybe sell your own products. If you're teaching something, you're a trainer, you're a speaker, you're a coach, or anything in the digital marketing space. And it also applies to e-com. I actually, just because I know the fact that a lot of you guys are in e-commerce, I made several examples of some of the sites that I like to show you how what I'm teaching you applies for that as well. Now, also no email list. So let's say like right now you have nothing. I'm going to give you an example of what I would do if I was starting with no email list and I wanted to really build a brand. At the end, I'm going to show you like if I was starting completely new in the fitness space, what I would do and exactly how I would do it. Now, if you already have an email list, so say some of you are actually selling your e-com products, or say some of you are actually selling your own courses or anything like that. If you already have an email list and maybe you're not getting the results you want, I'm going to show you a few tweaks that you can do that will turn around a dead list and actually turn it into where people are buying your stuff. Now, by the end of this workshop, the first thing you're going to learn is the 30,000 foot view, the Raving Fans recipe. So this is my framework of what I follow. No matter what I do when I go into a new business, honestly, what I'm teaching you, it's not super sexy. It's not some hack. It's not some magical secret. But this is the process that like me and Sebastian apply when we go into any new business. Even like right now for social experts, this is what he did. He basically laid out the process of figuring out like how he can help people, how he can actually become valuable to them. So when you understand this, you're going to be able to craft solutions that's going to make you a lot of money. Now, you're also going to have a clear action plan to how to find your traffic, how to grow your email list, and how to establish and have a thriving relationship with your ideal target audience. So basically, when you understand, where they're at, where they're hanging at, what they do, you're going to be able to attract them to you in your world. Now, you're also going to know how to extract from your audience what their problems are, what they really want, and how to go about helping them solve their biggest pain points. And finally, you're going to know how to turn your raving fans into customers and on to repeat customers. So one of the things that basically Sebastian has talked to you guys already, which I know, is about creating a long-term business. And especially when we're talking e-commerce, you can't survive on one-time sales. If you're only just getting a sell, then you're moving on and trying to get new customers. I can tell you it's 100 times harder to get a new customer than it is to keep selling the same customer a product and a product and a product again. Now, here's the basics of what we're going to cover. Number one, why it's important to build an audience of raving fans. So this is what I call my tribe. I don't consider my customers just like customers. I consider them a family. So you want to look at them as people that you're there to help, people you're there to serve. And it doesn't matter even if you're in e-commerce. If you're thinking about a long-term business, you want to focus on how you stack the value equation in your customers' hands and not just putting money in your own pocket. We're also going to talk about what people are teaching. So this is a lot of the common things that most of the gurus are teaching and what I do different. We're also going to cover how to pick a niche market to serve. So I know I've seen some questions on the webinar originally when a lot of people are buying that they don't even really know how to get started. They're not really sure how to pick a profitable niche. They're not really sure where to start. So we're going to start from the bottom like you're a beginner and work our way up even if you're intermediate or you're more advanced. Now, how to figure out what your customers want and how you can help them. So basically what I'm teaching you right here is figure out what they want and then sell it to them. It's really that simple. We're also going to go over to create content to attract your target audience. So part of the process of building a brand, part of the process of creating raving fans and creating people that buy your stuff is content. If you think about Sebastian, right? A lot of you guys found him because of his content, and you learn to trust him and like him because of his content, and then you become a customer. Now, we're also going to go over how to never run out of content ideas. This is one of the biggest questions I get is people don't know what to create. They have no clue where to start, what kind of content they should create. I'm going to show you all this and exactly what to do. And then finally, the importance of building a brand and an email list. So for me, I think of a brand as the long-term game, but an email list is it's the magic traffic source. It really is. It's better than Facebook ads. It's better than YouTube. It's better than Instagram. It's the only traffic source you control. I mean, a lot of you guys that are in drop shipping, at any given moment, your Facebook ad account would go down. What would you do? If you have an email list, you're not going to freak out. You'll have time to figure out how to get another Facebook account or how to move to another traffic platform, but you'll still be making sales day in and day out when you have an email list. So before we go any farther, I want to really get a commitment from you. Now, I can't see, as I said, the chat box, but I'm just going to trust you that you're going to say yes. So after I go through all this, I just want to get the commitment that you're going to actually learn this stuff and apply it, because I can tell you this is the business model that both me and Sebastian are doing, and it makes us tons of money. It's the business model you'll see any big guru doing in any space. I'm not just talking about the make money online and teaching people how to make money online. I'm going to show you examples outside of that people are doing exactly what I'm teaching you. So with that being said, I want you to realize that information is really useless. And if you don't apply it, you don't put it to use, you just learn it and you're like, oh, that's some really good stuff, that's really awesome. And then you go about your day. You wasted your time on this training. And so one of the things you want to learn is once you learn something, to take what you can from it and implement it as fast as possible. Because what I'm teaching you today, I can absolutely promise you. Now, being that I'm an American, I probably should throw out the FTC disclaimer that I can't guarantee anything, but we'll just throw out a friendly promise that if you apply this, I absolutely know that it will change your life. Now, also I want to go over, don't allow yourself to get overwhelmed. So one of the biggest things I see, especially with beginners, is they get a bunch of information. And the reason I also wanted to cover this, since I'm the first presenter, is you're going to see a lot of different people and social experts teaching you some amazing stuff. Some of them are going to be Facebook ad experts. Some of them are going to be good at scaling. Some of them are going to be good at different aspects of business, right? And what's going to happen is you're going to be like, man, this guru told me this and this guru told me that. I don't know what to do. So what I want you to realize is that overwhelm is really just a feeling. It's something you tell yourself. And what I always teach my students is, if you went into a library, you wouldn't go into a library and go, oh my God, there's so many books. What do I do, right? You go to the shelf and you pick out the book you want. You would check it out and then you would go through it. And then probably later you would come back and you say, you know what, that's pretty good. And then you go get another book. Well, that's exactly what you need to do when you're building your business online. Now, another thing you want to look at is as you're learning the different stuff from the experts that are in this training, you want to take things that apply to you. Me and Sebastian were having this talk earlier that a lot of people get confused. They'll hear one guru say one thing, another one say another thing. And you got to realize that we all have our own magic. We all have our own framework. So what I want you to take from this whole presentation I'm teaching you, even if you're 100% drop shipping, right? I want you to take at least one thing that you can apply to your business. I want you to think outside the box and think like a real strategic entrepreneur and think, how can I use this information and put it to use for my business to make more money? So maybe not all the stuff I'm teaching you will apply to you, but if you just get one nugget, literally that can change your life. One idea can make you a millionaire. Now, the final thing is I want you to really realize that no plan is copy and paste. This is the biggest thing that especially beginners and even intermediate. I was telling Sebastian how like the first year I made $500,000 in a year, I was looking for the secret still. I was still an opportunity seeker. I literally was out there trying to find another mentor to give me the secret to get to $1 million in a year. And I remember when I asked my mentor, at the time, like, what do I do? And he's like, dude, you just do more of what you're already doing. You figured it out. So I want you to realize, like, when you guys, if you're not making any money right now, right? I know what it was like to start out when I first started. And I was looking for somebody to give me this secret that's going to open up this magical floodgate of sales. It was going to open up this, Pandora's box. And I was literally just going to make money rain from the sky. And what I learned later is there's absolutely no mentor. There's nobody that can be responsible for your success except for you. There's no product out there that's going to give you 100% of the plan. If you really want to make the type of money that, say, Sebastian makes, that I make, that some of the other guys that are going to come on here and make, at the end of the day, there's always going to be somebody that makes more money. But if you want to really get to that point where you're making the type of money that creates the freedom, you got to realize there's no such thing as a copy and paste plan. You're going to have to take the ideas and figure out how you can apply that plan to your own business, and you test and you tweak and you test and you tweak. So all I'm asking for you before we jump in is just give me a yes, give me a commitment that you're going to not allow yourself to get overwhelmed. You're not going to just go through this and say, man, that was some really cool information, Zach, but you're actually going to figure out how to do this. Maybe you don't have all the plan yet. Maybe you don't have all the answers yet, but you don't need it. You just need to get started. You just need to get going, because what's going to happen is once you get going, the plan's going to unfold. You're going to go through the process and you're going to mess up a little bit, and then you tweak it and you mess up a little bit more and you tweak it. And eventually all those lessons that you learned, it's just going to literally scale to over the moon. I mean, if you look at Sebastian, I know he was going at it, and then he had like a month that was like 800,000 or something crazy. And that's how it works. You sit back and you look at all the people making money and you idolize us, but you shouldn't. So the biggest thing I'm trying to teach you right now is I don't want you to idolize myself. I don't want you to idolize Sebastian or anybody else. I want you to look at those people, get inspiration, and realize that you're smart enough to do this too. And the things that we're teaching you, all it comes down to is taking action. So I'm going to trust that in the chat box you put yes so I can move forward. If you're listening to the replay of this later, realize this is what matters right here. To realize you don't necessarily need a mentor. You need a mentor to help you get a plan. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own success, and you're smart enough to do this. So what I want to do really quick before we jump in, and when anybody gets overwhelmed, I want to teach you the Maslow's 4 stages of learning. And this is something I learned, and I didn't really understand it until I got to a certain point. So I think Sebastian told you before, video is my thing. I literally have like $15,000 in camera gear. I'm always buying things I don't need. And like when I first started, video was so scary to me. I literally got drunk on vodka, and I was like, and I couldn't get another word out. And I did that for like 30 days until I was able to publish my first video. When I look at guys like Sebastian, he has no fear, he just jumps in and does it. It almost makes me jealous. So I want you to realize if you're at a point where you're a little bit more reserved, maybe you're not somebody that can just jump all in, you kind of have to baby step it, that's okay. Everybody's going to have their own process, but I want you to realize that the number one secret to business is consistency. I don't care if you mess up things every single day. If you just stay consistent and you stop stopping, you're going to get there. So stage 1 is unconscious incompetence. And basically that means you don't know that you don't know how to do something. So an example right now, we're talking about building a brand and building an email list and building a long-term business. Building an email list may be a foreign concept to you, or maybe you've heard it before, but you haven't really realized it's viable to your business, or it's something that you need, right? So you aren't even really aware of the problem. Then stage 2 is conscious incompetence. So this is where you know that you don't know how to do something and it bothers you. So maybe an example of this is as you go through this presentation, you're like, man, I didn't realize how much money an email list actually makes. And now you're just like, I got to figure this stuff out. Stage 3 is conscious competence. So this is when you know how to do something and it takes a little effort. So this is when after you actually figure it out and you think that it's going to be super easy because the type of gurus that are out there that are really slimy and they tell you that you're going to get rich in 30 days and make the same kind of money as them, then you start realizing like, hey man, I kind of got screwed here. People didn't tell me what the real truth is. And you start to realize this is going to take a little bit of effort. But if you commit to it, you're going to get to stage 4, unconscious competence. So that's, you know how to do something and it's second nature. So an example of this is literally, I could be, let's just say, for instance, I'm depressed for a day, because at the end of the day, I want you to realize no matter how much money you make, you're going to have bad days. It doesn't make you a Superman. And even Superman has kryptonite, right? Maybe I wake up with a migraine. but I can literally jump on a live stream and give like my best presentation, and my audience would not even know that I had a bad day, that I have a migraine, and I can barely keep my eyes open. I'm able to step into that zone of expertise because I've literally done thousands of videos. I've done hundreds and hundreds of live streams like every single day. And it's practice, it's consistency. You know, my first live stream I did was like completely scary. I avoided it for a full year. I tried to make excuses like, nah, live streams are things that girls do, or live streams are like for, you know, like just certain niches. I tried to come up with every excuse until I finally did it. It just terrified me, even though I did thousands of videos. And now I literally can do a live stream and sell $50,000 in a day. That was within about 6 to 8 months of just practicing it. So I want you to realize no matter what skill you go into, you're going to start at stage 1. And you work your way into stage 4 by consistency. Now, here's why you want to create raving fans. I heard this years ago, and this, like, once I read this, my mind could never change, and I focused on this. So one of the things as I'm teaching you is how to take a small audience and turn it into big profits. Now, if you're familiar with the concept of building an email list, you're going to hear from a lot of other gurus. They're telling you want to build the biggest possible list you can, just going to make you a ton of money. And I knew when I first started out, I was $50,000 in debt. So that just wasn't realistic. I had to figure out, like, how can I can't build no 10,000 person list, 100,000 person list. I can barely even pay the rent. And so I had to realize how to take a small pocket of people and turn them into a full-time business, right? And so when I read this thing right here, it says basically a true fan is defined as someone who will purchase anything and everything you produce. They will drive 200 miles to see you sing. They'll buy the super deluxe reissued high-res box set of your stuff, even though they have the low-res version. They have a Google alert set for your name. They bookmark the eBay page where your out-of-print editions show up. They come to your openings, and they have you sign their copies. They buy your t-shirt and the mug and the hat and everything else that goes along with it too. And basically, once you create a fan, I want you to realize, if you've ever heard the term a buyer is a buyer is a buyer, the reason that's true is because once somebody likes you, they just want to be a part of your brand. When you create a brand, you don't compete with competition. So basically, this whole concept is based on when you have 1,000 true fans, 1,000 people that like you, you literally have a full-time business. You're never gonna starve ever again. So in online business, this basically means raving fans will buy all your products, follow wherever you go, and they're gonna tell your friends about you. You know, a lot of my customers come from referrals. Like, even though I'm now jumping into paid traffic, like right now I'm in Costa Rica with Sebastian. And part of the reason I come down here is because, you know, for the longest time I focused on the conversion part, right? And I focused all on conversions, but not on traffic. I got stuck in the free traffic game. And so I come down here to learn with him, right? But the thing is when I started doing all this, how I got a lot of my customers is like somebody would get a result from the stuff they learned from me, and then they would talk about it, and then other people would hear about me. And so not only when you create this effect, it's going to bring people to you. So let's say you're in the drop shipping business, right? You create a great experience because you have a personal brand, and then their friends are going to go recommend, like, hey, I got this cool product, you should check it out. Like, that's the most powerful form of selling because you don't got to convince them. A personal referral from someone or a friend, it's instant buyers. Now, I want to go over really what I see the myths of what I think is really BS in the industry and what, like, the opposite of what I do. My philosophy from day one, and it's like what I basically told Sebastian today, and it's like what I've done from day one, is when people zig, I zag. When they try to copy me and they try to zag, I go back to zigging. And so what you want to do is the 99% different of what everybody else is doing. Because when you try to copy people, let's just say like you find a drop shipping product, right? And it's just killing it. And I understand because I've done drop shipping. And you see a bunch of people like they had millions of views on the video, and then they decide, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to do it too. What you may not realize is, for instance, they milk that for every penny, and by the time you go do it, it ain't going to work anymore because they've literally just plastered the internet with it. So realize when you learn to think like a strategic entrepreneur and you learn to think on your feet and actually, use logic and not emotion, you're going to win every single time. So one of the biggest things that I see is people teach like create tons of content for 18 to 24 months, build your audience, then monetize. This will work in theory, but I don't know about you. I like to get rich quick, not get rich slow. Now, with that being said, I don't like even the term get rich quick. But my point is that I don't want to wait 18 to 24 months to make money. I don't have the patience. I don't have that much love for what I'm doing to go 24 months without making money. Now, the other one is build a big audience and you'll make lots of money. This is completely false. I'm going to show you this. I have literally customers that had a 1,000-person email list and created their first 6 figures. And then with 2,000 subscribers, they went on to make $350,000. So I'm telling you, you do not need a big audience. Other people may tell you that, but I'm going to show you don't really need to do that when you follow this stuff. Now, be everywhere your audience is. This is absolutely horrible advice. If you're on Instagram, you're on Snapchat, you're on Pinterest, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, and you're trying to do all these things, you're a jack of all trades, master of none. If you don't go deep on just a couple things and get really good at them, you're going to burn yourself out. And trust me, when you get in burnout mode, you're not going to be motivated to go to that next level. You're not going to be motivated to push that campaign to the next level. You're going to honestly want to give up money. You know, me and Sebastian were talking about this on the way here about even when he was scaling his campaign, he literally was like so stretching himself thin and working so hard that it was just like, man, I just want this to end. Trust me, there will get to a point that you'll honestly hate money. Now, build an email list and sell them stuff right away. Now, give me a yes. How many of you guys have got on somebody's email list and they're like, hey, one-time offer, buy this thing right now. Like they just hit you hardcore. And then another offer, another offer, another offer. And by day 30, you've literally been presented with like a new offer every single day. This is what probably 99% of people do. And I'm not just talking about the make money online space. I see it in the fitness space. I see it any big niche where there's lots of money to be made. There's two types of people. I always use this analogy. There's marketer A and marketer B. Marketer A is focused on serving their tribe and giving value and building a long-term brand. Marketer B is focused on short-term income streams, extracting as much money from those people as possible, and then they burn their name. You do not want to do that. Now, each subscriber on your email list is worth $1 per month. Okay, so this is a generic term a lot of people teach is that like, hey, if you get 1,000 subscribers, you should make $1,000 every single month. This is good in theory, but honestly, this is more for like if you're not doing half the stuff right. If you're really just trying to push offers to them, get as much money as possible, as quick as possible, and you're not focused on building a long-term brand. When you do what I teach you, each subscriber is worth more like $8 to $10 plus. So with an email list of say 1,000 people, you should be making somewhere in the range of probably $5,000 to $10,000 a month if you do things right. Possibly more depending on what you're selling and how big you scale it out. Now, run as much traffic to the sales page and tweak for better conversions. Give me a yes if you guys are doing this right now with drop shipping or any kind of business you're in. You know, for me, one of my main businesses is affiliate marketing, but affiliate marketing is basically the same thing as drop shipping. You're really arbitraging. You know, you're promoting somebody else's product essentially. And so when I got into affiliate marketing, and even I made this amateur mistake when I started my drop shipping store, I went back to like what I learned is not the smart way to go. So what most drop shippers do is they literally focus on arbitrage. I spend $1, and if I can make like $1.20, it's a win, and I just scale it to the moon. The problem with this is you're starting a new campaign over and over and over. So you milk it, and then your income dies, and you start another one, you milk it, and then your income dies. And by doing this, you're literally leaving like thousands, if not millions of dollars on the table, if depending on how big you grow your business. So running traffic straight to the sales page is a losing game. Somebody can knock you off. They can steal your campaign. You're going to get to a certain point where you're going to max out that campaign, and then it just basically falls off the face of the earth, and it's just not a smart business move. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you a few examples. So this is one I found which, you know, with this type of subscribers, 341,000 subscribers, I estimate this should be easily a 7-figure business if you screw things up. I mean, easily. Even in, I don't care if you're in a niche that's outside of make money online. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, right? He's had 42 plus million views, and the guy makes $2,000 to $3,000 a month. So this is a perfect example of, you know, giving too much value. So I want you to understand, like, everything I teach is about giving value and serving your customer first. Like for me, when I go into a business relationship, a partnership, I'm selling something, I'm creating a new brand, it's always how can I help you before I ask for any money. However, I don't want you to be the person that's just like giving, or constantly over-delivering and you're not getting any money. Because at the end of the day, that's not fun. The business is not going to be enjoyable and you're going to burn out really, really quick. Now, this is the other side of the fence. It's the far side of the spectrum that I see everybody else is doing, which is just like straight selling the moment they meet you. The one thing I don't do is sell immediately. Now, I understand if you have a drop shipping brand, this could be a little bit different, but I'm going to give you a few ideas when we get to the part where I'm using drop shipping of what I would personally do. I'm going to show you the example, or tell you, I guess, the example, what I'm going to build when I build my dog brand. Because for me, I'm a hardcore dog lover, right? And even though I would love to make money, I like long-term money. I like money every time I send an email, it prints money. I don't like just one-time sales. I can tell you right now, I used to be a hardcore opportunity seeker. I've been in everything from owning an outsourcing center in the Philippines with like a staff of 20 people. I've ran offline businesses. I've done millions of different online businesses. I was all over the place. And the income streams I created that made money quick, they always failed, just like we talked about a minute ago, and I had to rebuild from scratch, and I can tell you that's no fun. So by doing this, by just hardcore beating your customer over the head by buy my stuff, it's going to be a one-time customer, and you're going to get buried. For somebody else that comes in, say like Sebastian, who's building a personal brand, it doesn't matter if Sebastian is creating his own products. I don't care if you're a drop shipper, right? And you're arbitraging, and then you got Sebastian over here. Don't use that as an excuse. You can still build your brand before you get to Sebastian's level where he's actually getting in-house products made. It's not an excuse not to do this stuff. Now, this is my recipe for building an audience. Number one, find a hungry market to serve. So one of the things a lot of people make the mistake of doing is going into the wrong niche. They go find niches where people aren't really buyers. Like maybe they buy one product and that's it. You want to find markets where people are constantly buying and buying and buying and buying. That's how you're going to get filthy rich. Number two is figure out what problems they have. And then you research and understand them on a deep level. I want you to understand when you understand your customer really well and you understand the way they tick, like making money is very easy. It's like a magical thing that just happens by process. Now, create high quality content to attract and engage. Like content is key. It's absolutely key, and it's a long-term play, but it's something that keeps making you money. When you create content, you're going to outdo the person. I don't even care if the person gets ahead of you by arbitraging and just pure out volume with traffic. What's going to happen is they're going to burn through that audience very quick, and you're going to create customers that love your brand and keep buying your stuff, and content is a huge key to that. Now, we're also going to go over how to use free and paid traffic to get my content in front of those people that I can build an email list. So basically what I do is once I create the content, then I focus on promotion. So that's where, depending on what you want to do, if you're using, say, Instagram and doing free methods, if you're using Facebook ads, it doesn't really matter. Once you create the content, then it comes down to marketing and building that email list. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm sure Sebastian can chime in and he'll agree with me, getting the email is more valuable than getting the sale. And if you've never done this, it may seem kind of backwards because it's like, maybe you don't even really use email. But I'm telling you right now, email is the most profitable traffic source on the face of this earth. Maybe that will change in the future. When you get the email first, you're going to be able to sell somebody another product and another product compared to if you're just running traffic to your offer, it's really a one-time game. Even if you're building a retargeting audience, if your Facebook account goes down and you lose that retargeting audience, like game over. If you're building an email list, you'll be upset, but you won't care too much. Number 5 is figure out what my audience wants by asking them. So I used to basically go out there and create things and market things that I thought people wanted. And what I really learned in my 6 years of business is I don't really know a whole lot. And so what I do when I go into any business is I basically survey my audience and figure out what they want, and I just sell them exactly what they want instead of guessing. Instead of guessing what's the perfect product, instead of creating something that I don't really want to do. So if any of you guys are not using this for, say, drop shipping, you're actually getting into the expert space like me and Sebastian where you actually create your own stuff. This is stuff that's really, really powerful when you ask them. Now, number 6, continue to create content and recommend products that are a solution to their problem. So all you do is after you create the content, you just create more value with more content and then keep recommending products. So I really kind of follow an 80-20% model. It's like 80% value, 20% sell. And then number 7 is really simple. For like the rest of your life, you just do steps 3 to 6 forever. And literally your income gets bigger and bigger month by month. I can tell you right now, personally, after building several different businesses, I would rather build something that's slow and steady, that's solid, over just making like $1 million in a month and crashing, because then like you're gonna have to start all over from scratch. And trust me, every time you have to rebuild momentum to start a new business, it's an uphill battle every single time. Compared to if you do things right from the start, like what I'm teaching you here, you're going to have a better business than even people that are posting their big income screenshots right now. Now, I want to show you really how simple my business model is. Now, if you're looking at this and you've never built an email list, you actually may think this is a bit confusing. But what I can tell you is it's something that's very easy to learn. If you're serious about it, you want to make big money, you want to be able to pretty much print money, you'll take the effort to learn it no matter how frustrating it may be to you. And so what I can tell you is when I first started, I was at stage 1. We talked about the stages, right? I didn't have a clue how any of this stuff worked, but I was determined when I realized this is how people make a lot of money on the internet, I stuck to it, right? So a lot of the gurus will teach like these crazy, complex sales funnels. And basically what a sales funnel is, it's the modern day process to walk people through the steps to sell them your products. So instead of the old days where you have to sit in front of somebody, at a desk and maybe talk to them back and forth and try to convince them to buy your stuff, you're using the internet marketing stuff that like Sebastian and the rest of the experts and myself are teaching you. And basically you're walking them through the sales process, and so you can hide behind your computer and make a lot of money. So what I do is it's really simple. Traffic. Pick your poison. Paid, free, both in my opinion. And then you do your favorite traffic source. Now obviously you need to make sure wherever your audience is the traffic source you're focusing on. Then from there I send them to either like a blog. I use my blog as like a pre-lander. So think of this if you're in drop shipping, kind of like, you send them to your sales page, or basically your order page, where they can actually like see the product, the basic description, and there's an order button. The difference is with my blog, I'm sending them to an article and I'm selling them on the idea, then I'm linking to the sales page. And by doing this, you get way more sales because you're pre-framing somebody. You're helping them understand why they need that product or why it's going to be beneficial to them. Now, you're going to notice, like with the blog, you may not be able to see it too well, but that my whole blog is just a giant like email list capturing device. Everywhere I focus is to get the email. Like you won't see anywhere when you look at my blog or any of my marketing on the outside, I won't sell you a thing. You have to get on my email list before, for the most part. Now, the exception to the rule is live streams. I'm going to talk about that later. But for the most part, I'm always going for the email. If not, a one-page squeeze page. That's just a one-page website. I guarantee you guys have opted into those. You're in Sebastian's funnel. That can be a webinar. It can be a squeeze page where you collect the email. And then what I do different than everybody else is I take them to a thank you page where it's like, hey guys, Zach here. I just want to introduce myself, let you know I'm not all douchey like everybody else trying to sell you stuff 24/7. And join my Facebook group. That's my pitch. That's my elevator pitch. And what I'm doing is I'm focusing on building the relationship first and showing that like, hey, I can help you before I ask for money in return. Then the basic overview is value lesson 1, some cool tips number 2, cool tips number 3, and then I make an offer at the end. And then from there, I just keep following up, like I told you before, some content and some pitches, some content and some pitches, and I cycle back and forth. That's the business model in a nutshell. Now, the power of what I'm teaching you here, I want to show you, because I can show you my income all day long, and that's cool, and it's like mental masturbation. It makes you feel great and all, but it's not going to help you, right? So I want to show you people that have actually like done this stuff. So you can see like on the right-hand side, that was a funnel that I actually ran. It was an email funnel. It was just emails, nothing else. And I basically made a case study of it. And Steve Howell, which is in the real estate niche, he's not actually like teaching make money. He's teaching how to do real estate, which I guess technically it is teaching how to make money, but it's different anyways. He basically copied what I did, modeled the funnel that I built, and his very first try made 9 sales of a 997 product. And when he started this, he didn't understand email marketing, so he was kind of stage 1. He understood the concept, he understood how to put together a squeeze page and build an email list, but he didn't really understand how to sell stuff. And at the end of the day, what I'm teaching you in this whole call is the part that is honestly should be most sexy thing that you learn, but it's the thing everybody avoids, and it just blows my mind because once you learn this stuff, you literally can print money. Now, I want to show you an example, and if you're doing drop shipping, for example, this will be stuff that you can wrap your mind around. So this is an affiliate offer that I promoted, and at this current time, this product is made over like $550,000 or something like that. Like today, I made like $8,000 just doing nothing. And so basically, 7,776 people hit the sales page. Now, I want you to remind you really quick, they didn't just hit the sales page first. I collected the email. And the reason I did that is because you got to constantly reintroduce people to buy a product. You know, there's a stat out there that, and I honestly think it's more than 7 personally, but it's that people need to be introduced to a product at least 7 times before they make a buying decision. For me, I think it's a lot more because people they're not necessarily ready to buy every day. But only 7,776 people seen that page or seen that offer for sale. Out of that, at that current time, it made $348,504, and this is profit because I was doing free traffic 100% of the time. Out of that, there was a total of 1,625 sales. So some people bought like a cheaper thing, like say $7, $49. Some people bought very, very expensive stuff. The average customer value was $214. So to really help you understand that, if I spent $214 and I didn't come any out of pocket, I would have been happy because I was building a bigger email list, which I could sell them more stuff later. So these same people that bought this stuff here, a lot of them went on to bought more stuff later. Now, to break this down in numbers so you can really see it, this is the 1,000 true fans in play. So at this current time when I did this offer, and I'm showing you these are old stats, right? A couple years ago. And when I did this at that current time, I had a list of like, I want to say maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people at the time. It wasn't very big. And I know if you haven't built a list, that may seem like crazy, but if you guys, especially you guys that know Facebook ads, you could do that in a week if you really know what you're doing. And so once you build this email list, right, you do not need as many people as you think. When you actually go and focus on learning this stuff, it's very, very powerful. So I showed you Steve Howell a minute ago. Steve Howell had 1,000 people and made $100,000 his first year. By the time he got to 2,000 subscribers, he passed 350,000. Now he's literally closing $8,000 sales like consistently. Now, before I teach you this, I want you to really understand the power of a personal brand. And I'm going to show you not just examples of what I do and different niches of my clients, but I'm also going to show you an e-commerce brand, and this is exactly how I would do it. So I want you to really understand there's a big difference between making sales and creating a business. In my opinion, most drop shippers are really creating an income stream. And this is something me and Sebastian had a long conversation on our car ride here today, is that basically most people are creating an income stream. An income stream dries up. So you may make a little bit of money or maybe even a lot of money, but then what happens, you're back to square one, you're starting all over again. And both of us can tell you that it's very, very depressing to start over again every single time. And I guarantee you, if you'd ask Sebastian if he could go back with what he knows now and he could create a real business, a real brand from day one, I guarantee you he would have skipped all those massive profits and focused on building it right, and he would have probably made more money than he had already. Now, what I can tell you is, and this is probably going to be a little deflating of your cells. Once you get to the top, right? A lot of people get to this point where they get their ego and they think that they've made it. And a lot of people have this misconception about business that say once you become a millionaire, it's forever. And I want you to realize that if you build income streams, maybe you'll make $1 million, but that doesn't mean it's going to be forever. When you build a brand like what I'm teaching you here, you're never going to worry. You're never going to stress out about if Facebook starts shutting down a bunch of accounts. You're never going to worry about if one of your channels goes down. You're going to have income for quite a while, so you have time to figure out that problem. Compared to if you're just building an income stream, you're going to really freak out when that happens. Now, what I can tell you is in my course of time, I've seen a ton of people literally crash and burn because of that. But when you create a actual personal brand, what you're doing is you're creating raving fans. And my definition of raving fans is repeat customers. It goes back to that 1,000 true fans where they buy everything you sell. Also, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So I'm going to go over, and if you watched Sebastian's original presentation, he talked about cold, warm, and hot traffic. And I know he had a bunch of questions inside of the Social Experts group, like, how does this apply to e-commerce? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this, because when somebody knows, likes, and trusts you, right, they know the brand, and they like the brand, trust is the number one thing you can get. Once you have trust, selling is very, very easy, even if you're a horrible marketer. Now, if you're an affiliate or drop shipper, I want you to realize that this is crucial to your success. It 100% is. And the reason being is products and offers come and go very fast. I've literally had affiliate offers that made me stupid money, and the next thing you know, they shut down. And so I was back to square one. This happens in drop shipping every day, where somebody gets a winning product, I talked about it already, and then somebody knocks them off, or just the campaign just gets exhausted. And what happens is when you do this, you're back to square one. When you create a brand, you're going to keep making money. What you do is you pivot. You just tweak what you're doing just a little bit and create a new offer, and you're right back on track. Now, also, a personal brand opens up new opportunities. So one thing Sebastian talked to you about originally is thinking long-term. And you're going to keep hearing me say this, long-term, long-term. And my whole goal is to brainwash you on building a long-term business over short-term wins. And the reason being is right now, let's say right now you're doing drop shipping. You're like, you know what? I never want to be a guru like Zach or Sebastian. I just want to make money. But what I can tell you is what's going to happen is you're going to get successful in whatever you're doing. And me and Sebastian stumbled into what we're doing, not because we're like, hey, let's go teach everybody how to do this to make more money. It was because people started saying, hey, how do you do this? And so by necessity, we started teaching because people requested it. For me, when I first started out, I'm like, I never want to be a guru. I hate gurus. I even now don't like when people call me a guru. I try to be the anti-guru because I don't like that label just because of what most people think about it. Even when I first started, I associated gurus as people that are scammy and scuzzy and they do dirty things, which some people play nasty, but not everybody's like that. And so when you build a personal brand, you never know. Later you may want to expand into something else. If I would have asked myself when I first started my journey, would I end up here? I would have no idea. Now, literally, opportunities open for me all the time. I have people trying to, have me basically run their back end of their business, so doing the conversions. They want me to take over their business so they can just be the front man and I can do all the selling, from the back end. They don't even know who I am. You're going to be positioned with all different stuff. You're going to get interviews. You look at Sebastian, right? He's traveled across the world to go speak at events. They paid for all of his stuff just to get him to go speak. You're going to get interviewed on podcasts, business deals, media exposure. Some of you may end up on the news. I want you to realize what you're doing right now, if you're focused on just making money and all you're focused on is just making money, you're probably going to have a hard time making money. But when you focus on building a business, things change drastically. Now, when you create a brand, the biggest thing right here is to realize that you do not compete on price. So let's say, especially, I'm going to keep using drop shipping examples because I know that a lot of you guys are drop shipping, but for the people that are watching this that are actually just wanting to build an email list and create a personal brand, understand this stuff applies across the board. It's the same thing. So when, say you're creating a drop shipping campaign and you're charging, let's say, $29 for it, right? And you're killing it. And somebody else comes in, you know what, I'm going to charge $25 for them, screw them. And they try to knock you out, but you created a personal brand, they may get a little bit of sales, but they're not going to be able to compete. And the reason being is people will buy from the brand they trust. Here's a perfect example. I spend stupid amounts of money on Apple. It kind of, honestly, when I think about it, it's kind of dumb, really. Like, I can go buy a PC that does the same thing for like a fourth of the cost, but I'm brainwashed. I literally spend and buy every new iPhone that comes out, every new computer. Like right now, I'm using like the maxed out iMac, or not iMac, the MacBook Pro, and it makes no logical sense when I think about it. But because of the fact that they've created such like a strong brand in my head, I have a hard time switching. So I'm loyal to them. It doesn't matter, even though PC's over here like, hey, we'll give you a better computer for a cheaper price. I'm brainwashed. And so that's what a brand does. You're not competing on price. You're not doing the race to the bottom like most marketers are. You know, me and Sebastian talked about today. It's our guesstimate that in the next 1 to 2 years, most of the biggest people you see in the space, you're not going to see them. They're on a race to the bottom, and you do not want to be that person. Now, what you want to do is you want to create a personal brand in everything you do. Now, for me, understand, I'm in the expert space. Even though I make money doing other things than teaching this, like everything I do is creating a personal brand, because what I'm selling today probably won't be what I'm selling 2 years from now. And that's what a personal brand really does. It creates an audience of people that love you and follow you, so they follow you around. Like literally at one point when I had tons of people following me like on my personal Facebook profile, they would like make videos for me on my birthday, send me gifts, all kinds of stuff. And that's what a personal brand does. When somebody like they love you, not like you, it just creates a magnetic effect. So you want to brand everything you do, your Facebook profile, your fan page, your YouTube channel. You know, ideally you want to keep your branding consistent. So something I'm actually in the middle of doing right now is changing my branding a bit over here. So that's why you see inconsistency. So don't follow that I'm teaching you, but you want to have a consistent brand across every channel you use. Instagram, YouTube, you know, Facebook, whatever channels you're using. Now, you can see like right here, this is like a personal branding website. If you guys have seen Sebastian's, you guys have seen similar things. But these are some of my clients, not just my own stuff, but you want to put your pretty face on everything, ideally. If you're not wanting to put your face on it, then come up with like some kind of mascot or some kind of logo or something that people can get behind. But I'm going to encourage you to create a personal brand. And even if you're like, oh, I don't have a pretty smile, like smile and put your face on everything, because the more people see you, the more they're going to like you, the more they're going to buy your stuff. Now, you're going to notice literally I put my ugly mug on everything. And one thing I do, and you notice the difference between, you see like me, and you see Steve Howe at the bottom, and then you see like Hannah, and then like you see Ruth. And one of the things I want to point out, and even though probably Ruth will end up watching this later and I love her to death, like you want to smile in everything you do. And the reason being is when you smile, it's more inviting. When somebody comes across you and you're smiling, it feels more friendly than if somebody's giving you a serious look. And the reason I'm saying this is because when I first started, I never smiled. And it was because I was really unhappy when I started. I was $50,000 in debt. But what I learned is that when you're smiling and you're constantly, you know, a positive person, or your brand represents a positive image, people would rather follow that than something that they don't really resonate as happy or friendly or fun. Now, as I told you before, when somebody comes into my sales funnel or my sales process, I don't sell anything. I literally, if you can see there, I have like my fan page, like my fan page. I have at the bottom, join my Facebook group. And then, of course, I have like a documentary video. It really just shares my story. That's it. Like my pitch is like join my Facebook group. It's like a 45-second pitch. Hey, this is what you can expect from me. I'm going to send you a lot of cool stuff over the next several days, and I'll see you in the Facebook group. There's no one-time offers. There's no special sell. And what I can tell you is when you delay the sell and you build that goodwill first, you're going to get 10 times more sales than whenever you sell right away. Now, I understand when you're doing paid traffic, you want that money back quick, but I still bet my money on the person that delays the sell and focuses on value first over just selling. Now, you're going to see like right here, you're seeing a common trend. This is like what I call a VSL. If you haven't heard that term, it's basically a video sales letter. So every single thing I do, no matter if it's, you know, a video sales letter, it's a welcome page, it's a sales product, you know, or I'm selling on the sales page, everything has my face and my branding. Now, to show you the power of this, and when I learned it originally, and understand this was like a high production video with a white backdrop and everything I'm showing here. I don't have an image of the original video, but at one point I literally like was on a trip. And I was in the Philippines. If you don't know my backstory, I basically started out in the Philippines living over there. I had a team. And at that point in time, my outsourcing business crashed. And one consulting client called and basically said, I want all of you and your little Asian peasants to get my shit done. And I was so mad, I literally pulled off on the side of the road. I pitched a $5,000 coaching program in a 5-minute video by saying, hey, this is what I got, this is how I can help you, and here's how to get it. And I literally sold $70,000 from an ugly YouTube video in a tank top, literally looking like I was broke as a joke in 48 hours. And the reason it worked is because I created a personal brand. Like, I don't honestly really know anybody that I've seen in the industry that can sell a $5,000 thing from a 5-minute video just talking. I've yet to see it. I'm sure there's somebody out there, but I personally have not seen it. And I've done this several times where I sell big ticket packages from just a simple video. And the only way you do that is when you build a personal brand and you have trust first. Now, realize, even if you're in drop shipping, you're not selling expensive things, the concept I want you to wrap your head around is when somebody trusts your brand, selling is very easy. Now, here's an example of Ruth. So she actually went and spoke in front of 2,500 people at a big, like, it's more of like a corporate event. And she basically just shared the stuff she was learning from me, like marketing and whatnot. And then right after that, 7 business owners approached her for one-on-one coaching. And she's not teaching people like how to make money. She's working with offline businesses. So she has an agency. She's basically working with local businesses to help them get more clients. So she spoke in front of all those people. They loved the value she had, and they wanted to know how they could get more stuff from her. Now, this is one of my favorite stories to show you the concept of what I'm teaching here before we really go into the technical side of how to do all this stuff. And so this is my favorite story. Her name is Cynthia Nataline, and she started and basically she's from Bali in Indonesia. And when she first come to me, she could barely speak English. So if any of you guys right now, and if any Americans are on here, I love America. I'm American. But I have more love for people, especially when they come from third world countries and they rise up from the bottom, because I think it's so cool. And it's just because of the fact that they don't have this entitled feeling like a lot of people do, where it's like, man, I deserve this. And so when she come to me, she literally was like, she could barely afford to eat. I'm not even joking. Like, at one point, she was doing a lot of freelance work for me, helping, kind of hustling while she was learning stuff. And she would even, like, literally just use coffee some days for meals. Not even having the money for rice. She would just eat a coffee. Like, if you can imagine that. And she went from nothing to making over $500,000 online. First, she had to learn to speak English. Then she had to learn marketing. Then she had to learn to overcome the challenge that she was a woman trying to personally brand herself, and guys were giving her basically flack for it, right? So she had more challenges than probably most people that are going to watch this video, and she went from nothing to being able to do $20,000 in a week. So I want you to not get focused on what she's selling so much as what she accomplished and the challenges she overcome. But the reason she was able to do this is she focused on a personal brand. And by the way, she did this with 100% free traffic. Now we're going to jump into the framework of how to do this. And what I want you to realize is this process is not super sexy. But what I can tell you is it's going to make you more money than a lot of the stuff that seems fun to do. And this is the first step. Once you do it once, you don't need to do it again. And what's going to happen is you're going to bury your competitors because they do not do this. So regardless if even you have a niche, I'm willing to bet that you don't know about your niche as much as you think you do. I'm 6 years into this and I'm still learning things every single day. So put your ego aside, and if you follow this process, I'm telling you, it's going to be very enlightening. Even some of the stuff I was sharing with Sebastian today, you could just see in his face, like, mind equals blown. So once you go through this process, like, it's just game over, right? So one of the best places, if you don't know what a niche is, if you want to figure out, like, hey, where can I get stinking rich, you go to dummies.com. And basically, these are the books like LinkedIn for Dummies. I see Crocheting for Dummies. Like any of these categories you see here, they do not create these books unless they can make millions and millions of dollars. And even though this is a book, you can literally go to Amazon. You can go find drop shipping products. You can create digital products. Like if people have books out there on these topics, you can guarantee that there's a lot of money to be made in every single one of these categories. So you can see health, diabetes for dummies, controlling cholesterol, fitness, Pilates, paleo diet, yoga. You can see there's individual niches inside of a big broad niche. So you don't got to go broad and be like, hey, I'm just going to be in the fitness niche. You want to niche down to something more specific. And any of these niches, like there's millions upon millions of dollars for everybody to be made. There's no such thing as saturation. And by the way, while I'm talking about that, if you believe in saturation, get that out of your head because there's no such thing. This is stuff that gurus tell you to make you scared so that way you buy their stuff. Saturation is for opportunity seekers. And the whole goal here is to get you to go from being an opportunity seeker if you still are, which I'm going to guarantee probably if you haven't made at least $1 million online, you probably are still in that category. I know I was. And switching to become a strategic entrepreneur. So crafts, we got quilting. I'm going to use quilting example here for e-com in a minute. Crochet, scrapbooking, these are all individual niches and crafts. So right here, the only reason I know about this niche is just because my mom is like a hardcore quilter. Like literally, she spends so much of her money and my money too buying this crap. And like, I think it's cool that she does it, but it's just like, there's literally like rooms in the house that's stacked up with material she hasn't quilted yet. And she buys it stuff from this woman. So this woman started out like in this little town and literally just started making YouTube videos, aka a brand. And she started basically creating, just teaching how she does quilting. It's like, hey, I'm going to quilt this weird quilt pattern. I have no idea what it is, so I can't really pretend I know it. Double square star pattern, there we go. And so basically she'll go and create all these cool YouTube tutorial videos, right? But like she'll teach you how to do it, but if you understand how quilting works, you can watch a YouTube video, but like the actual blueprint and how all the stitching goes together is what people want. So she sells them the actual patterns. Now she also manufactures her own material. She branched into that, but a big chunk of her money is literally like these cheap, like $10 like patterns to teach you how to make the quilts. But you see, she's built like 300,000 people on YouTube, and like she's got just a behemoth of a business. Like it makes probably me and Sebastian's income together look really stupid. Now, this is exactly what I would do, guys, 100% with email marketing, with e-commerce. So there's another e-com store. You guys probably know it if you're in drop shipping. I think it's like 𝐼𝐿OVE or something. It's even bigger. But this is the one that I come across before I come across them and started my Shopify store. And basically, you know, I'm a hardcore dog lover. Anything dogs like gets my attention. A lot of the people that follow me, like they send me cool stuff for my dog, not me. It's kind of sad when I think about it. And so basically, you see right here, they got 1.6 million or 1.7 million fans, right? They built this up over time. But what they do, and really cool about this, is they built a brand, not just selling products. They sell Shopify stuff. So they actually have a pet spray. They have T-shirts. But what they do is they build a community. They build a brand. So people submit stories about pets. They submit, pictures of their dogs. Like they love this brand. And they even like raise money from their audience even to help pets, basically funding charities and whatnot. So they've created a brand that people are so passionate about, so they buy from them because they love them. Now, you can see right here, they're building a brand on multiple channels. They're creating content, on everything from YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I believe they have an Instagram too. They have a website, which, here's something I want to call out. Like I teach about building sales funnels, and sales funnels, if you're familiar with it, is a big trend in the industry. Me and Sebastian were having a good talk about this today too, where people are saying the website is dead. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, until people stop using Google, like having a website is like standard. You just need it, right? And so what they're also doing is building a community by encouraging people to submit photos. So a lot of their stories are self-submitted. Now, I don't know if you can also see, but I didn't point this out, but they're even making additional revenue with Google AdSense or Google basically AdWords or Google Ads. You can see it right there where it's like G Suite. That's anytime somebody clicks on that, they get paid. So they got multiple ways they're monetizing this brand, not just with drop shipping. Now, here's the biggest key that you see. You're going to notice right here what they're doing is they're building an email list. Anytime you click on anything on their website, it pops out about getting on their email list. When you get right here, there's two things that they're doing well. They use their email list to push to more of their content so it goes viral, and then they also push people to buy t-shirts. So what they do is as they create a new t-shirt, it's never the same t-shirt in every email. Every email you check, it's a new t-shirt design. So every single day what they're doing, remember what I said, you don't just sell somebody once, you sell them again and again and again and again. So what they keep doing is showing the new designs that they're producing. I've even seen them sell like dog bracelets and stuff like that too. So, if you want 𝐤𝐤𝐧 to do this, I put the link there on purpose. Go opt into their funnel, paulmygosh.com. Opt in and watch what they do, and then just like copy them for whatever niche that you're using. Now, you can see also too that they're pushing to their Shopify store. They actually have their own pet cleaner. So basically, like the dog pees on the carpet, it stains the carpet. Then they push over to their Shopify store, and they have all different type of packages. This is just like the homepage, right? And they're selling their pet cleaner. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they actually have like a actual reoccurring continuity model. So like once you sign up, they'll send you so many new bottles like every 2 or 3 months. That really ups your income. Now, step number 2, once you understand the niche, right? You got to figure out you got to really figure out your audience on a deep level. You got to really, really understand them. And what most people are doing, they just have a generalized idea like, oh, they're buying this stuff, so I'm going to do it. A lot of people, especially like in affiliate marketing and drop shipping, they just like try to copy everybody. They don't use logic. They don't use a little outside the box thinking. And so what I want to teach you how to do is literally bury your competitors. And this is where it starts. So the first thing you do is you figure out what content to create to attract them. Content is like, if you understand what a sales funnel is, it's the beginning. It attracts them to get onto your email list. Now, you also want to find communities where your audience hangs out. So, I mean, Facebook is one of the biggest places to find communities, but there's a lot of other stuff like forums, different social media channels. But you want to find out where your audience hangs out, and so you can really research their behaviors. You also want to note down everything you find for ideas for content, bonus packages if you're selling anything like, say, in affiliate marketing or selling your own products, say like Sebastian. You'll notice like when Sebastian sold, his course, right, his membership site that you're watching this training, he also offered some additional bonuses in order to sweeten the deal. You also want to note down anything product ideas to create. This could be drop shipping, it could be digital products. In some industries, you can monetize with everything. You can use physical products, you can use digital products, or freebies. And basically what I define a freebie is like the free giveaway you get somebody to opt in to build your email list. Now, here's the part that's really important. And remember what I said before about even if like you're just doing drop shipping, you got to figure out how to use this for your business. Now, what I'm teaching you right here, this is more for like what me and Sebastian do, the digital side of things. But this also applies for even actually selling stuff, as far as physical products, like what I showed you with 𝐼𝐸𝐥𝐿. So what you want to do is identify your audience. So what you want to really realize is you need to speak to one group of people and ignore everybody else. So in my opinion, like if I was going to create like an e-com store, I would create all about dogs, but I think I would even go one layer deeper, and I would create it like on French bulldogs. So instead of every dog, because not everybody likes every breed of dog. Like a lot of dog lovers, they really have like, for me, it's bulldogs. I spend stupid amounts of money buying new ones like every few years. And so when somebody really likes something and they're very passionate about it, they're going to buy stuff again and again and again and again. So like for me, if you show me like 5 or 6 things that like will be like a funny outfit to put on my bulldog to make me laugh, I'm going to buy every one of them just to amuse myself. So you want to speak to one group of people and ignore everybody else. Step 2 is identify their problems, pains, and frustrations. So the most powerful aspect of selling, if you can find some kind of pain in your audience, and I understand for some audiences in dropshipping or some audiences even in digital space, you may not be able to find the pain, but maybe that's finding what they actually like to be entertained by. Modify it based on your niche. But ideally, you want to think about what keeps them up at night. If you can find a pain, like figuring out their pain and what hurts them, what bothers them, this is what's going to get them to buy more than pleasure. Most people don't buy for pleasure, they buy to solve a problem. An example, maybe you actually joined this site because like right now you're in pain, and your pain is like, man, I want to figure out what these guys are doing to scale. I want to figure out what these guys are doing to make this stupid amounts of money every day. That's an example of a pain. Now, number 3 is understand their desires. So you really need to know their needs, wants, and desires. So this can be stuff that motivates them, inspires them, and usually what this really is. So let me give you an example. A real example of desire is if somebody wants to make money online, they usually don't want to make money online. They want to make money for what they perceive that whole lifestyle is. Maybe for them, that's traveling the world. Maybe for somebody like me, right? It's all about helping my family and being able to give them a higher quality of life. For you, maybe it's because your dream is to drive a Lambo. For somebody else, it may be to help their grandma. It doesn't, everybody has their own meaning. And same thing for losing weight. People don't just want to lose weight. They usually want to do it to increase their confidence, to feel better when they look in the mirror, to feel sexier in front of their spouse. There's a real desire of why they want something, and it's much more than the overall concept that you think. Now, step number 4, and I want to stop really quick when I think about this, guys. I didn't tell you at the beginning. I'm going to give you guys a PDF download of all these slides. So I realize I talk kind of fast, and because it's very detailed, I want to make sure I get through everything. But I've created the additional course, on how to build your list, or as far as how to build the funnel, and then also the PDF. So all these things I'm talking about, you can reference this stuff to try to figure out how to apply it to your own niche. Now, number 4, understand their dreams and visions. So you really want to think of what is their outcome. I'm going to show you this here in a minute, but what are they trying to achieve? Now, obviously, if we're talking like drop shipping, it's going to depend on the niche. Maybe, for example, like I showed you with 𝐼𝐸𝐥𝐿, maybe their outcome is they just want to be entertained every day. For, and say like, for example, like in the make money online niche, people, as I showed you, it's more than making money online. It's something much deeper than that. What is the outcome they're really hoping to get? Is it to live a lavish lifestyle? Is it to help their family? Is it to feel better about themselves? What is the real outcome they're after? Number 5, know their fears. So we talked about this a little bit before. This kind of goes along with their struggles, but what is their fear to achieve the outcome. So a lot of people, example, like say losing weight, if you were selling in the fitness niche, right? Fitness niche is huge in both physical and digital products. Like you got to figure out like what stops them. I heard a stat the other day where a woman that actually sells a diet program for women, and said that women on average every year join 8 different dieting programs to try to lose weight. And what they do is they associate pain to starting a diet. They think like, this doesn't work. I've failed before. And then what they usually do is not just blame it on the product, but then they start thinking it's actually myself. And so you really need to figure out what's stopping or holding them back from achieving their desired outcome. And when you understand this, then you can understand how to sell them, how to actually get those high conversions like I'm talking about. Now, step number 6 is your solutions. So this is basically how can you help your customer right now. So depending on what kind of business you have, right? If you create your own products, your product is obviously the solution to their problem. If you're an affiliate, it's somebody else's product. If you're drop shipping, then it's basically the product that you're selling or arbitraging, right? So realize it's going to depend on what niche you're in, but this applies across the board. Now, I bet you love my drawing skills, right? I wasn't really a good artist in school. But basically what you want to realize is when somebody has an outcome, right? They have a desired result. I call this the hell and the heaven. So A is the current state they're at. This is the hell. This is where they want to get away from. This is the problem they have right now. They don't feel great. They want something to change. They want to be entertained, whatever it be. B is heaven. This is what they really want. This is the outcome. So an example, right? Somebody is fascinated about traveling the world and being able to make money passively so they can travel the world. Their outcome is being able to basically be financially free and not be chained to one location. So what a lot of people think is like, man, I got to help them do all this, which you really don't. If you can just help somebody get one step closer to their desired goal, like it's game over because they trust you. Remember what I said, 99% of people, they're focused on the sell. They're not focused on building any goodwill. They're not focused on helping anybody. They're very selfish. They just want to make money. And when you're focused on just helping someone, you can almost be a nobody and not really know that much, and you can become the expert. So my favorite example of this is the movie Catch Me If You Can, if you've ever seen it. And it's played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and he basically plays the character Frank Abagnale. And all he does is he's basically, faking and running away from the FBI. And he's in a college class and pretending like he's a student, and the teacher doesn't show up, so he gets up in front of the class and he starts teaching. And so he teaches a semester of the class for whatever reason, and nobody seems to know that he did it. And then when he actually gets arrested later and the FBI asks him how he did it, they said, "How did you do it?" He goes, "Oh, easy. I just read one chapter ahead in the book than everybody else." And so that's what you got to realize. Like right now, even if you have this vision, like, man, maybe I could be an expert eventually. Maybe I could create digital products one day and have my own brand like what Sebastian or Zach or the other experts are doing. Realize that like you don't got to be a true expert. You don't got to have all the answers. You just need to be one step ahead, one chapter ahead in the book. Now, once you move them just one step ahead, that builds the trust. All right, so I want to go back to ecom again and show a little bit more examples. So I'm going to use some of this. I couldn't find a forum for quilting, even though I know they're out there when I was putting the presentation together, so I just used some quick examples. But basically what you want to do is you want to look at your competitors' fan pages. And I don't just mean like look at their fans and the basic content they're posting. I want to show you the deeper level of what I do. So the first thing you do is you type in a keyword for what your niche is and go find the big fan pages, right? What you want to do is go to the fan page, and it is good to note down the topics and the posts that they're doing, but here's where I spend most of my time. You're going to notice where it says 16 comments, right? I'm going to read the comments of their customers. Their customers are going to tell me everything. They're going to tell me what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And what I'm going to do is figure out how to put together a better product, a better combination. I'm going to figure out how to give them a better experience by looking at what their customers are saying. So like right now, if you're a brand new beginner, you're just trying to basically get wet behind the ears and get going, like you don't need an audience. What you do is you go out and figure out somebody else that already has a brand and has an audience, and you do the research. Like I literally will spend a weekend doing nothing but this. I'm going through like the competitors that are making the most money. Because understand this, if you understand their business model, you understand what they're doing, you can see their weaknesses, you can see their flaws and how they're treating their customers bad. Like maybe, for example, a bunch of people are posting on their fan page that they never answer back and they didn't get their order. This is stuff that you can use for market research to create a brand that focuses on your customers, and you can literally steal their audience. Now, the next thing I do is go to Facebook groups. Facebook groups are huge. So like you can see like right here, 70,000 members, right? You go in a Facebook group, you're going to see the topics they're talking about. You're going to see things that they're passionate about. You're going to get ideas for content. You're going to get ideas for products. You're going to see what they really care about. And this gives you ideas of what to sell them, the kind of content to create to attract them, and basically how to create a better brand than the person that you're actually researching. Now, the next step is to read questions people ask in the group. So this is not in the quilting niche. I just pulled one from a random group. And what you want to do is write down the stuff they're asking. What you're going to see in a lot of groups, especially when groups get big, the owner doesn't pay attention to the group. They literally just build the group. There's thousands of members in there, and they don't pay attention. They literally just ignore the members. Go in there and write down and note down everything they're asking, everything they want, everything they hate, everything they like. This is ideas for you to build your brand. Now, the next step I go to Google, type in the name of the niche plus forum, and you want to go to the forums, right? And the reason the forums is because it's probably one of the most passionate places that people hang out. They literally talk about every aspect of your niche, and you can get unlimited ideas for products, unlimited ideas for your content on a very, very deep level. I guarantee your competitors are not doing this. Now, as I said, you want to go in a forum. If you've not been in a forum before, basically it's called a thread. So instead of a post like in Facebook, you click on a thread. And I know for some of you guys that are younger than me, like I feel old even being on this webinar. It's old school, but there's still a lot of people that hang out on forums. And you want to pay attention to the questions being asked and the links and the things that they're selling and figure out like how you can do this for your brand too. Now, the next step, blogs. Google niche plus blogs. Blogs are like where a lot of passionate people hang out. For me personally, I still love reading blogs. Probably once a week I go to my favorite blogs just to catch up on stuff in my industry. Now, here's something I do and on a deep level. And this is something that like Google knows what you want. They're literally like the FBI. So if you go use Google Instant, and it applies for YouTube Instant as well, you start typing in like how to, and you notice right here, how to quilt as you go, how to quilt by hand, how to quilt fabric. This is stuff people are typing in. So this tells you right here, I create a piece of content answering all these questions, then I link them to my stuff to buy, or I link them to my email list. Now, you can play around with terms like how to stop, how to lose, how to improve, how to learn, and then play around with your keyword. Another thing you want to do is scroll to the bottom of the results, and this is just like Google Instant, and you see it says searches related to. So now we see how to quilt by hand, how to quilt beginner, how to machine quilt patterns, how to finish a quilt, how to quilt binding. These are all things that people are literally searching for every day, trying to learn things they're buying, and Google is literally giving you like all the information. They're giving you everything you need to know. I do the same thing for YouTube. I literally deep dive on YouTube because if you don't know, YouTube is a buying market. Like people type in like, product name review. Is this product good? How do I do this? Like they're trying to learn stuff, and this is where the buyers hang out. So going and looking at your competitors' YouTube channels, kind of like I showed you the Missouri Quilt Company, it's literally going to give you all the data you need to create the content and create products and everything you need to do in order to make a lot of money in your brand. Now, content creation. So we're going to go over the process of actually researching the content to create, how to come up with content ideas, and also the overall strategy of how to put it all together. So content is really important because it allows you to create the brand. And we talked about this before, but when you have a brand, you have repeat customers. On top of it, people share your content. So one of the things I want you to realize, like you can't really share a sales pitch. Now, I guess the exception to the rule is like, say for you guys that are doing like drop shipping or anything with e-commerce, people will share your ads, right? But at the same time, I'm telling you, like even for me, I would still rather people share content that they like that's closely related to my brand, so I can collect that email and then I can keep selling those people over and over again. You're not going to be able to do that with just people sharing your post. Now, it's on top of your sales funnel. So basically when you have a sales funnel, and if I would have thought about this, because I understand for some of you guys a sales funnel may be a little bit complicated, but if you actually are serious about learning this stuff, my supplemental training that goes in 2 hours, I break down what a sales funnel is, how a sales funnel works, how you put it together. I mean, literally anybody that doesn't know how to do it, if you follow it, you can do it, even if right now this seems a little over your head. But basically, content is the piece that attracts people into your world. Think of it that way. And once they come into your world, aka your email list, from there, then you can start leading them on to stuff to buy. But it's the first step that attracts them to your brand. Now, it also takes people from a cold and warm audience very, very quickly. So we're going to talk about cold, warm, and hot audience here in a minute. But basically, cold is people that don't know you. Warm is people that are familiar with you, and they're at least open to hearing what you have to sell. Now, it also makes selling 10 times easier. So let's say like right now, you're like, man, I could never do like what Sebastian does, or I could never do what Zach does. Like when you actually use content, like you could mess up a sales pitch and make lots of money. The first time I ever did a webinar, like I don't know how well you think I sound now, but my first webinar, I was so nervous. I literally got on, I shared 45 minutes of thing, like, all right, thanks guys, thanks for coming out, I'll see you later. And people were like, whoa, Zach, what can we buy? And I literally had to like just go dig through like affiliate links and just give them something. So I made sales by accident because I didn't even have a clue how to do a webinar. I literally just did it because I seen everybody else was doing it, and my coach said I had to do it, so I did it. But it was terrifying, and I still made sales. So I want you to realize when you create content, like that people love you, and they learn to trust you and like you, and it makes selling so much easier. Now, long-term business model. Guys, are you noticing a trend? I keep talking about this long-term business model, right? Internet marketers, and this is why when people they say I'm an internet marketer, I don't clarify myself as an internet marketer, I clarify myself as an entrepreneur. Internet marketers are focused on making short-term money, just making money today. But when you create content, you're creating your brand. It's something that survives all these different challenges. Facebook account bans, your product goes down. It keeps you in the game for the long term. You keep making money while everybody else is struggling. So let's go over really quick cold, warm, and hot traffic. So cold is basically people don't know you. That's when you're like setting up a Facebook ad. You're running an ad to people who have never seen your brand. They've never been exposed to you. They have no clue who you are, what you sell, or what you do. Warm, they've been exposed to you. So the way to think of this is maybe they've been exposed to you, and then you do a retargeting ad, and they're like, oh, that's that one thing I seen the other day. Hot is people that already know, like, and trust you. These people literally you can just say, hey, I got something for sale, and it's like, boom, buy. It's literally that easy. So what content does is it takes them from the cold to warm very, very quickly, and then you're getting them closer to that hot point where they're very easy to sell stuff. So I want you to realize there's two different types of content that I create. And there's content that attracts your audience, which is where I spend 80% of my time. And what most people do, they spend probably 90 to 99% of their time on the second stage, which is content that sells your audience. So for me, I follow an 80-20 rule. 80% giving value and attracting, 20% selling. And what happens is when I sell, it's just a floodgate of money. Like I was sharing with Sebastian how it was about a month and a half ago, I have a Facebook group. There's only about 1,000 members in there. And literally, and I've done this over and over and over again. This is nothing new. And I literally whip up an offer, $25,000 to $50,000, and I shut it down, that's over. And I go right back to value the very next day. And I don't sell anything for a bit. And when you do this, it literally just prints money. But it applies to everything, drop shipping, to affiliates, to creating your own products. If you're a coach and consultant, it works across the board. So examples of content that attracts is social media posts. So this can be anything from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, pick your poison. Blog posts, videos, podcasts. Like content can be whatever medium. I want you to understand, even though I'm all about video, because honestly, if I could just get you to do video, it'd be my one wish for you because it's that powerful. And honestly, we're moving into a world where videos digest a lot more than standard content. If you're just absolutely terrified of video and you're like, you know what, Zach, I'm never going to do video. I'm sorry. Do a podcast, talk, do content. At the end of the day, figure out a way to create content. Maybe it's image post. Don't not do it just because you're scared to do video. Now, the second stage is content that attracts, content that sells, And that's basically like a blog post, but it's a call to action to buy your product. A webinar. The difference is like right now, we're on a webinar, but I'm not selling you anything. It's just sharing how to do this. But you could do a webinar where you sell the product. Videos, and then basically say, hey, buy my product below. That's where you want to spend about 20% of your time doing it. When you follow the 80% rule, and then you actually sell 20%, you're going to make 10 times more money than if you try to sell every single day. Now, this is the biggest question I always get because people are like, I don't know what content to create. I'm not an expert. I don't know that much. I'm not 𝐤𝐸𝐧. I don't have a clue how to do this. And so I want to teach you how to come up with unlimited content ideas. After this, there should be no reason you ever say, how can I create a piece of content? So anything you watch, videos you watch, tutorials, simple tips, note it down. And what I want to really cover really quick is I want you to think about this and give me a yes if this makes sense. If you went out and read a book and it was a really awesome book and you shared tips with your audience on that book and you just quoted the source, do you think they're going to get mad at you because you shared it and you basically gave them tips? I don't think so. They're going to be like, oh, that's really cool, because most people are not going to spend their time to do that. If you're serious about building a long-term brand, you immerse yourself in your niche. Like literally me and Sebastian, we live for this stuff. We can just sit and talk about it all day long. For most people, they're like, oh man, I don't want to hear that stuff anymore. So you're going to be basically becoming the expert, and you're going to be 10 steps ahead of them, not just one step. So the little things that you're doing, the little things that you create, you may not think it's that great, but trust me, for somebody else that's just getting started, somebody else that's just coming across your brand, like say for instance, somebody who's trying to get into fitness, right? And you know a little bit, and you're not an expert, you don't have a personal training degree, but you learned a little bit and you're sharing tips and it helps them and they find it valuable. So another example is blog posts you read, books you read. Books are my favorite, and podcasts. I spend a lot of time on those two. Pretty much any time. Like today, Sebastian's like, what kind of music do you listen to? I'm like, I don't really listen to music. I listen to podcasts. He's like, really? Like, yeah, I listen to podcasts. So if you listen to content in your niche, use it, share it. If you're worried about, oh, that's rehashing, cite the source. What I can tell you is there's almost no new ideas. Like literally, if you look into every major niche, everybody's just finding a little way to twist the content and make it in their own unique way of teaching it or sharing it. I mean, we live in a world now, information is coming at us so quick, like we don't even know what to consume. So realize that this stuff, it's valuable to people. If you do any coaching, so if you actually are somebody as an expert business, maybe somebody is watching it live now, maybe somebody is watching it 6 months from now. If you have a coaching business, you're going to hear a lot of common problems and things people actually struggle with. So one of the things I do where I do a lot of group coaching is I basically like take things that everybody asks me and I use that for my free content to attract my audience. Because I understand if my buying customers are asking me this stuff, then everybody else probably struggles with it too. Another thing is to note down comments people make on competitors' content. We talked about that earlier, but this is probably one of my favorite things to get content ideas because people are like, how do I do this? What about that? How do I know if this product will fit me? How, it can vary based on your niche, but note down what people are asking. That's more powerful than really any of the other stuff. The other one is survey your audience. I'm going to teach you this in a minute. This is probably one of the most powerful things. It's like, hey, what do you want to buy? And you create it and you literally like sell it on the fly. Now, here's a book example, right? I learned this from Brendan Burchard. He says, readers are leaders and leaders are readers. And basically, like you read a book and what are the key points from the book? So one of the things I do all the time, I'm a serial reader. I got more books at home that I can't get through like probably in a year. And so every time I read a book, I literally share the tips and stuff on my live streams with my audience and they love it. So you would think like, why would they care about that? They could just go buy the book, but most people don't want to sit and read as many books as I do. So literally just sharing the stuff I'm learning from it, maybe they got one vital tip that's just like awesome. They can apply to their business right away and they love it. So basically you also want to do, what can you apply to your business immediately? So one of the things I shared with you, and I want you to realize there's really two types of content when you're consuming content. There's content you're going to use for your brand, which is basically for your audience. And then there's content you're going to consume that you basically use for yourself. Things that you apply for your own personal development, for your own business growth. Then finally, take action and share your own personal experience and ideas. This is how I would do it. This is how I would become an expert in a brand new niche. I'm going to show you how I would do this in a fitness niche. I've played in the fitness niche before, but this is how I would do it when I started. This is what I would do. I would learn something. I would actually apply it, so I'm not just somebody speaking theory, and I would share it. And that's literally how I would build my audience. I wouldn't have to be a nobody because in the beginning, I'm not selling stuff. I'm building the brand. So something to really reel this home and why I want to sell you on the idea of becoming a leader. And I understand, like, for some people, it's scary. And I know for me, when it comes to the whole idea of stepping into the leader role, to be somebody that, like people looked up to be somebody that, like, people wanted to listen to and take their advice. Like, I couldn't imagine I would be able to get people to come pay me lots of money to hear me speak or to pay me for one-to-one coaching or group coaching. And when I first started, I was in a miserable situation. I was $50,000 in debt. I don't... If you've ever heard the people that say, oh, I was suicidal and my life was horrible, ask Sebastian. I'm probably like the one person you can hear that, like, the story started out so rough, it's almost non-believable. And so when I started out, I couldn't imagine this whole idea of being a leader. So I can sympathize with you if you really feel like, man, I just don't know if I can do this. But this is why you want to become a leader. Human beings can't help it. We need to belong. One of the most powerful of our survival mechanisms would be part of a tribe, to contribute to and take from a group of like-minded people. We are drawn to leaders and their ideas, and we can't resist the rush to belonging. So how I will associate this for you is if you look at Facebook groups, right? There's always some douchey member that wants to come in the group and like try to be like, I'm the expert, trying to steal all the people out of people's Facebook groups. Happens to me, it happens to Sebastian. We spend a lot of time like really trying to help our audience. Like we don't even really sell to our audience. And then like you have somebody coming in, they're trying to like share their cool new business opportunity, right? But what happens is because of the fact that the people view that person as the leader and they're loyal to that leader and they want to be a part of that group and they feel like it's kind of their secondary home, like they care about that group. And so that's an example of somebody wanting to belong to something that's a little bit bigger than themselves, or something that they feel like these are my people. And so this isn't from Seth, but basically leaders don't just consume information. That's what I want you to understand. Remember what I told you in the beginning. If you just listen to all this and you're like, man, that's awesome, but you don't do anything with it, it was a waste of your time. And I can tell you that if you apply this, even though it's not a sexy process that you have to do in the beginning, like it's the stuff that makes you a ton of money. This is the stuff that like me and Sebastian are launching brand new businesses, right? And that's what we're here for in Costa Rica, is we're both like helping each other map out our whole big idea for our new businesses. We're spending the time doing exactly what I'm teaching you. And this is going to make us multi-millions by doing this process. So realize the power is in becoming an action taker. You probably heard this a million times, but I guarantee you there's still somebody listening to this. They're like, man, I got to get some more information. I got to get this next tip before I can do something. And that's not the key. The key is to get off the starting line, mess stuff up a little bit, and jump head first in. You're going to learn this as you go. So what you want to do is focus on immersing yourself in your niche. And when you do this, you're going to become the valuable person. Because most people in the niche, as I shared with that story of marketer A, marketer B, marketer A is focused on value, on serving, right? Marketer B is focused on only selling. Marketer B will get ahead initially, but they're going to tank out. They're going to burn their name. They're going to like hardcore sell everybody. Marketer A is just going to keep pacing, and they're going to pass them right up and make way more money than marketer B could have dreamed of. And that's because of the fact that they're focused on serving a market. They're focused on building a brand and becoming valuable to their audience. A perfect example of that is Paul My Gosh. Now, I want to show you how to get ideas for content. So one of the things I like to do, remember what I said, there's no such thing as original stuff these days. It's like pretty much everything is out there. So what you can do is go to buzzsumo.com. Write that down, buzzsumo.com. You can type in a keyword for your niche, and basically what it's going to do, it's going to pull up the most popular like blog post or content pieces on the web that's been socially shared. And so this is going to give you an idea if you're like, man, I'm trying to think of an idea of what to create on this topic, and I want to figure out how to put it together. Literally go through 4 or 5 of those articles, and you're going to get perfect example of what to do. Now, the next thing, if you don't know what copywriting is, it's selling with words. It's the things you say in text, right? You may not even realize it, but I've been using some copywriting techniques on you throughout this presentation to sell you on this idea. And you probably had no clue what was going on unless you understand what copywriting is, right? But you don't really need to know that when you get started. What you want to do is model off of like headlines. Like the biggest thing to content, and this works for your Facebook ads too as well, guys, right? The first thing they see is the headline. That's the text. Then from there, well, they usually look at the image, and if it gets their attention, then they click over. So what you want to do is start creating really sexy headlines that make people like want to pay attention. They want to stop what they're doing, and they want to pay attention to what you're doing. Because there's so much content on the web, like you want to make sure you stand out. What you do is you go to upworthy.com. Now these are one of those sites that are kind of like a news channel, right? It's all like viral content, crazy headlines, shocking headlines. And some of the stuff for your niche is going to be over the top. But what you can do is play with the topic and the actual headline and try to tweak it for your niche. This is one of the things I do anytime I can't think of a headline for an email, I can't think of a headline for a Facebook post, or I can't think of a headline for a blog post or a content piece, or even live stream topic, I literally go here. Now, time to create the content. So I'm going to share with you my suggestion of what to do. If you decide to do content in a different actual form, then literally you can go to YouTube and type in like, how do I do a podcast, if you want to learn how to do a podcast. So basically what you want to do is pick one content piece or one content platform and dominate it. The biggest mistake I see a lot of like beginners doing is they're trying to be the jack of all trades. They're trying to be on many different platforms. They're trying way too much stuff. And so one of the things I even did this year is I cut back my workflow. I'm doing less but more. And one of the concepts I teach is to go an inch wide and a mile deep. So all I'm focusing on is basically Facebook ads and YouTube. That's it. I'm not doing any of the other platforms I did, and I'm just going deep on those two. And the reason being is I know most of my competitors are trying to be everywhere, and they're doing a lot of stuff very mediocre. Now, there's 2 different types of videos. For some of you guys that are like, oh, I don't want to put my face on video, I'm going to show you, because I've seen some comments, especially for the drop shippers and e-com guys and girls, that you guys were like, how do I do videos for like this stuff? Because Sebastian was showing examples, so I'm going to kind of give you an idea for that. There's 2 different types. First one is talking head videos. So that's basically, these are good for simple topics. If you watch Sebastian's YouTube channel, that's a perfect example, right? Really simple stuff that people don't got to really do too much thinking to get the idea of. It's also great for building relationships with your audience. So this is why I like video, because there's no way to lie on video. You can really sift out if somebody's lying for the most part, if they're a douchebag, if they're not really a trustworthy person, and you can really figure it out very, very quick. And what it does, it creates a very strong bond with your audience. It's also very easy to make. You literally use your iPhone, use your Android phone, or whatever you're using. You don't even need a high definition camera. Like when I first started out, I think I was using back when it was iPhone 2, I had no really good microphone, so the audio was great, kind of like Sebastian, which he just migrated over to a nice mic, and that's all I did. And here's what you realize, right? Sebastian has made millions of dollars online, and he literally just got his first microphone because I brought it over from him from the US. Think about that. How cool is that? Now, maybe for some of you guys, you're like, man, Sebastian, I wish you would have got audios way better way earlier, but he wasn't focused on perfectionism. He wasn't focused on getting everything right. He just I'm going to make content. He didn't let little stuff stop him. He didn't know for the fact that he needed a perfect microphone. He just did it. And that's what you want to learn, is do it before you're ready. Now, in my opinion, especially if you're building a personal brand, like actual personal brand, that's not like Paul My Gosh is more like a brand. A personal brand is it's you. You are the brand, which I'm more in favor of a personal brand. And if you're doing paid traffic and running video ads, this is one of the best forms of doing it. Now, the second type is for two different types. So screencast videos are basically this would be an example really of a screencast. I'm going through a presentation. You don't see my face. There's no webcam. You just hear me talking, right? It's good for tutorials or more complex topics, because if I was just talking about this stuff without kind of diagrams of how to do it, it would get very, very confusing. It's also great for product creation. So if you're creating any of your own products. And then finally, this is if you guys don't want to do any type of showing your face. I've literally found YouTube channels that have they get 400,000 visits to their website a month, and they don't show their face ever. They literally just talk on screen like this or show examples on the internet. That's it. So don't let that fear of being on camera, honestly, this is probably the best way to start on screencast videos, and then migrate over to talking head videos if you're scared to do it. Now, these are the basic content pieces I suggest to do it, right? So we're going to go from you have a little bit of money to invest, and I'm going to assume you already have a smartphone, because pretty much most people do. And that's where I would start. For me, I have probably 15 grand in cameras. What's funny is a lot of times I'm lazy and I grab my iPhone sometimes. I don't feel like setting up the nice camera. And so if you have a smartphone, it's good enough to start. What I would suggest, get you a cheap $10 tripod off Amazon.com. Just type in smartphone tripod, and you'll literally have a ton of them come up. The next thing is, which is the mic that you heard Sebastian. If you're some of his long-term followers and you followed him before he had the really high-quality audio, this is what he got. It's $60. And literally, it's one of the best investments. In my opinion, you can have really crappy video, but if you have really good audio, for the most part, people don't care. If you have low-quality audio, more people complain about it than if you have a high-production video. And a lot of times, I really don't suggest high-production video, because low production video makes people feel more connected to you. Now, the next one is the tools you need for screencasts. So this is what I suggest. If you're PC or Mac, you can use 𝐤𝐚𝐫𝐧. So basically, right now, I'm actually recording this presentation. So that way, for instance, if GoToWebinar fails, we got a backup. Now, I'm on a Mac. I use ScreenFlow because it's only for Mac, but you can use 𝐤𝐚𝐫𝐧 on either Mac or PC. If you're on Mac, I suggest ScreenFlow. This basically allows you to record the screen and hear you talking and everything that you're seeing. And then, of course, right now, if you hear the audio, the exact mic that I'm recommending is what I'm using right now. It's called a Blue Yeti. You can pick these up for probably $60 to $100, depending on where you're at in the world. You get on Amazon, you can find good deals at times. I know in America, you can literally go to bestbuy.com if you're in America, and you can buy them right at the store. Now, I want to show you my plan. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. This is just what I'm doing to build a very, very big business, right? And I want you to realize the most important part is frequency, consistency, and discipline. But frequency for different people can mean different things. Maybe for some people starting out, maybe you have a full-time job, frequency could be 2 times a week. But the important part is that you're consistent, and then you can build on that. But if you do it just when you feel like it, you do it when you're motivated, you do it when you're having a good day, it's easy for anybody to do that. But the real winners do it no matter what. They do it when they don't feel good. They do it when they have a headache. They do it when they're tired. Right now, I haven't had a whole lot of sleep. I traveled yesterday. My flight, it was a disaster getting here. I was supposed to be here at 1:30. I didn't get here. It's almost 9 at night because all my flights got delayed because of weather. I slept a couple hours. We traveled 6 hours today. We've been up all day long masterminding, and then here I am doing this webinar, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. I don't need to feel good to do it. I just do it, right? That's the most important thing you can realize, is that consistency and discipline are the 2 most important things. How much you do you can build on that. So for me, basically 2 to 4 webinars a month. That's basically to sell my main product. A daily live stream. I do that in my Facebook group, and then a daily YouTube video. And then 1 to 2 high quality blog posts a month. So like these are like really epic posts that are very detailed, no selling. And then basically from there, I run paid traffic to that content to grow my email list. And then I basically repeat that process for 12 straight months. If I do this, I probably should knock it out of the park, probably close to multi-7 figures this year, if I do it right. But even if I get a fourth of it, I'm going to be happy. And so what I want you to realize is that if you just create a plan and you do it, if you look at Sebastian, he's created a team. In the beginning, if you don't have a team, you're not going to be able to create lots of content. What I don't want you to do is compare yourself to me and Sebastian, because we're probably like 10 steps, for some of you maybe even 1,000 steps ahead of you. You start where you're at. My first initial like content I started creating on the web, I did like 1 a week. And then I did like 2 a week. And then I built up to 3 a week. And then I got to the point where I do it every day. Then I did it multiple times a day. You do it by working through those 4 stages we talked about at the beginning of the presentation. Now, my favorite part. This is the part that you should care about. This is the part that's going to make you filthy rich. Like I don't care if you're a drop shipper, if you're a digital product person. Like this is going to make you 10 times more money than what you're already doing if you haven't already done it. And this is building an email list. But an email list is a leverage asset. It's a long-term business model. And what I call the email list is a distribution channel. So the easiest way I can help you understand this is if Starbucks wants to sell more coffee, they set up another Starbucks. Like I don't know depending on what country you're from, right? But I know pretty much every country I've been to is just like America, where there's like one on every corner. You can't literally go 5 minutes down the road and you see another Starbucks. And so the simple equation for Starbucks to sell more coffee is to literally just get more stores set up. So the equivalent of that is to build a bigger email list. So this goes against what I told you a little bit in the beginning, right? But what I'm teaching you is to build a quality list. So when you focus on building a quality list, you have a relationship with that list, and then you do it with quantity. That's when really things get powerful. That's when you make crazy FU money. Now, this is why you must do this. Number 1, your email list is your number 1 asset. Like right now, I literally like everything I own. Let's just say I don't have any products. My website just completely gets demolished because somebody hacks it. All my employees quit on me. I get $100,000, like let's just say it's even $250,000 tax bill from the IRS, and I don't have the money in my bank account to cover it, which I do. But let's just say I don't. If I had my email list, I would not stress out. I would craft an offer, and I would be like, screw you, IRS, here's your money. That's literally the power of it. Now, I want you to realize that this is the model that both Sebastian and myself use. On top of it, any guru, I don't care what niche you're following, it can be in the make money niche, it can be in the fitness niche, it can be in a hobby niche. If they're smart, this is what they're building. Amazon.com is using an email list, if you don't realize that. That's why when you buy something and they keep sending you recommendations to your email, like, hey, you might like this. If you bought any physical product online that's smart, they build an email list and they keep sending you offers. Even, for instance, the president in the United States, they won from email marketing. They built a big email list. I'm talking about President Obama right now. He basically built a giant email list. He literally said, hey, will you donate to my campaign, raise millions, and demolish his competition? Whether if you're an American, whether you like him or you hate him, if you look at what he did, it's very powerful. Now, once you have an email list, you keep making money month after month as long as you treat those subscribers with respect and you don't spam them to death. So if you do what 99% of people do, it's just offer. It's probably going to last 30 days if you're lucky. But if you mix it in, if like say you're in drop shipping, if you model like what I've shown you with Paul My Gosh, you're going to keep getting people buying your stuff every single day. Like one customer is going to turn into a repeat customer, and the next customer comes on your list, they're going to buy several things. And you do this in the same thing if you're selling digital products. Now, as I told you before, I focus on 80% value, 20% pitch, and literally this has been making me money for like the last 4 years, like without trying. So, as I told you before, I'm not going to go in deep on this just because like this is a whole presentation. We go into how to do it, the whole framework, like the content piece you need. I give you basically the headlines. I give you the format. I give you the structure. You don't even need to understand the big idea. You just need to follow the structure that I do, the template. So basically, this is my overview of when I create a sales funnel to sell a product. Remember what I said, the sales process to sell your product? So it's like value day 1, value day 2, a light pitch. And when I say light pitch, it's like a recommendation, like, hey, check this product out. Then I go back into value again for the next day, then another light recommendation or a pitch. And then the last day is a hard pitch, like, hey, you need this thing. And that's it. This is the business model. It's made me millions. It's literally what I follow. It's still what I follow. You'll even, if you opt into some of Sebastian funnels, you're going to see some of his same stuff that he's implementing. So once again, I have this whole training for you. It's not uploaded right now, so if you guys like jump off and want to go digest it, Sebastian's got to upload it, but you're going to get all that for free to go along with this. Now, I want to show you how simple this is. And I'm going to guess that if any of you guys are like hardcore entrepreneurs, right? You just love following people that are successful. You probably come across John Lee Dumas's podcast. He calls it EO Fire or Entrepreneur on Fire. And you're going to see like how stupid simple his funnels are. And this stuff makes him millions. Like, you trying to learn podcasting? Free podcast course. And it's like 7 days of teaching you how to launch your podcast. You want to learn how to hit your goals? Free goals course. You want to learn how to create a sales funnel? Funnel on Fire. You want to learn how to do a webinar? Free webinar course. And it's literally that simple. And literally every day it's just an email and it links to a video sharing some tips. Like this stuff doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, a lot of the complicated stuff doesn't work that well. And I can tell you from being in the industry long enough, a lot of the people that teach complicated sales funnels, they don't use them themselves. They just do it to confuse you. Now, once you start building your list, this is the fun stuff. This is where we sell stuff. So one of the first things you want to do once you have a list is survey them. I use Wufoo personally, but SurveyMonkey, I know a lot of people like SurveyMonkey.com. And then another way, if you want to do it cheap, I mean, you're on a budget, you can literally just create a free survey in Google Docs. And you basically ask people, like, what's your biggest problem in your niche? What are things that you're trying to learn? What are things you need help with? If you're in e-com, right? What are some of the products that you like or some of the things that you buy? You basically just want to figure out like as much information as you can about it. Now, don't go create a survey. It's like 50 questions because nobody's going to answer that. Think of like 5 good questions to ask them. Now, I want to show you how powerful this is. And when you do this, this is stuff that your competitors won't do. It's stuff that like a lot of people don't want to do because it takes work. But it's stuff that I still do to this day, even as big as I've grown my business, right? Like one of my first emails, when somebody opts into my email list, I asked them, like, what's your biggest problem you feel that you're having from hitting your goal? And I get replies every single day. Now, if I'm really motivated, and it depends on the day, like realize like some days you're just not going to be in the grind, right? You're not going to feel like it. Some days I'll just write a simple reply. But a lot of times I use a free service called 𝐤𝐤𝐧.com. It literally, you click a button and you can record a video and start talking, and then you just send them the link. So what I do is I record a video based on like what they say, and I'll literally spend 10, 15 minutes and just make free suggestions to them. So this guy right here basically opted into my list, and he was already in my Facebook group, and he's seen me talk about it. And when I replied with a video and gave him free tips, he just couldn't believe it. He was completely blown away. 2 days later, he bought a $1,000 course. He's since went on to buy several $1,000 things from me. So you see right out of the gate, right? It creates this relationship. They don't see it anywhere else. Go try to message any big guru, and for the most part, they're not going to reply to you. And if they do, they're going to reply with, hey, buy this and I'll help you out. Give me a yes if you've had that happen, if you've actually done it, because I guarantee at least one person has. When you do this stuff, even in e-com, right? Think about how can you do this in your niche? How can you become better at customer service? How can you create a better experience so when they buy from you, it creates positive expectations. They feel good about it. And instead of buying it, it's like they hate you because the whole experience feels like a chore. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what business model you're in. When you go one step above your competitors, you stand out. Now, one of the things you want to do, if you especially are going to create a personal brand, is create a Facebook group. You know, even like, for instance, Paul My Gosh, like I believe, if not, I know there's a couple Facebook groups for sure that's connected to brands, but like create a Facebook group and create like, you know, submit your dog pictures, submit your stories about your dog. Like find a way to basically create a group that works together, that collaborates together, that like really is passionate about one topic. You can see like right here, this is something I used to do a long time ago, and it was a framework I taught about basically 21 days to create a habit. So it's like if you do something for just 21 days straight, like it'd be normal. It'd be like brushing your teeth. And like literally there was 1,900 comments on this before I got rid of this Facebook group. It was just people literally like just every single day, okay, I'm doing the thing. And then after they do it long enough, like they stick with it. And this is one of the things I taught people to start making money online when they struggle by buying everybody's products is like, look, just focus on one thing for 21 days. Shut everything else out. And the people that went through this, they started making money because they eliminated distractions and focused on doing. Now, once you built a really, really like loyal audience, right? And so I want you to realize, in my opinion, there's several different types of email lists. I want you to really focus on list building, like building your email list, because it's the most valuable one. But this can apply for even in a Facebook group. I look at a Facebook group as like a secondary email list. So like right now, this particular group has a little over like 1,000 people, right? And last year, it's made me roughly $250,000 from just that list, not my email list, not even emailing them the same offer. And what I do is I spend it's probably more like a 99% value and 1% sell. I'll sell every now and then. I'll create an offer that I sell for like 2 or 3 days, and it'll be like $50,000 in a day or two. Then it'll be like $25,000 in a day, and then another one will do $75,000. And so I spend all that time literally serving them every single day, giving them value every single day, giving them free tips that they can go out and apply and get results right now. And then when I sell stuff, they don't even got a question, because I've already helped them get positive expectations of what it's like to be my customer before they're my customer. So when you can create that experience in your business, sales becomes very, very easy. Now, as I promised, I was going to teach you guys, like, if you're brand new and wanted to start in a niche, what I would do. So understand one thing. Me personally, I like digital products the most, just because the profit margins are bigger. However, with that being said, if I was in the fitness niche, like, I'm not biased. At the end of the day, if you can make money with it, I'm going to sell it. And so if I'm in a niche where people buy both digital and physical products, I'm going to sell both. I'm not just going to sell one. I'm going to monetize it every different way I could. But this is what I would do to start out to become an expert in like 30 to 60 days. So what I would do is I'd build an email list in the fitness niche. Basically for me, I'm 31. I don't think I shared that. I would basically go and find guys that are over 30, just because of the fact that they would probably resonate with me because they're 30. Compared to if I'm sharing fitness tips with somebody that's like 18 to 20, they're probably not going to have the same issues and the same metabolism problems that I do. And so what I would do is I'd create some kind of free gift to entice them to give me their email. The next thing I would do is I would invite them to my Facebook group and say, hey, join the free group where I'm going to share tips every single day and help you lose weight. Pretty simple. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to survey them often, like quite often. I'm going to ask them, like, what's your biggest problem? How many diets have you attempted before? What do you feel is stopping you from actually getting the result, to getting that six pack, to feeling better about yourself? I'm going to figure out like what is really stopping them, right? And then I'm going to provide lots of value for no charge. I'm literally going to do the work for free first. Every single business I start, this is what I do. I don't go in with like, how can I make money in a week? I go in with like, how can I serve? And then I'm going to sell. So I would do free webinar workshops, just like this one. I would give them like my best stuff, and I wouldn't charge them for it. I would do free video trainings. I'd probably do some live streams where I'd answer their questions and motivate them and inspire them. I would do step-by-step blog posts, and realize you don't got to do all this stuff. I'm just giving you examples. And then basically what I would do is I'd create a high-value Facebook fan page and group post. Now, I'd move on along. Now what I would start doing is I'd link to the products I personally use. So I'd start linking to the protein powders I use. I'd link to my lifting belt I would use. I'd link to any of the vitamins or the supplements I'm taking. I'd link to my shaker bottle. If I used a program to get in shape, I'd link to that first as an affiliate. Start making money to prove that this niche is very valuable and it's good. Then what I would do is I would evaluate the survey results. And I'd basically question the questions I got on the live streams, the conversations that are going on in the Facebook group, the questions people are asking. And I would take the top 5 to 10 pain points I see people commonly asking questions about. Then what I would do is I'd create a product around that number one pain point. So if I found people were saying the biggest goal they have is they just want a six-pack. They've wanted it their whole life. They've never had it, but they've not been able to figure it out. I'd create a product teaching them how to get a six-pack. It'd be my product now. Then what I would do is I'd validate the product by giving them a no-brainer introductory priced offer. So let's say I wanted to sell it for $67. I'm going to give it to them for something like $17 or $27 or something just really stupid in order just to prove the concept that it works. My other reason for doing this is because what's going to happen is the people are going to go through it. They're going to give me testimonials. Then when I jack the price up, I can sell it for 10 times more than what I could have if I just went straight for the $67. See, this is the difference between creating a business and thinking long-term over just like, how can I get money from people? When you do this, you make 10 times more money. Now, what I would do is I'd continue to sell the product ongoing at a regular everyday price, and I'd rinse and repeat. That would be the business model. And as I go, I'd figure out different stuff. Like maybe eventually I'd create my own supplement. So maybe in the beginning I'd be an affiliate, and I'm like, say, drop shipping the product, right? I'm selling a protein powder, but it's not mine. But then eventually I would 10x my profits by going and getting a protein powder made myself with my own branding. I'd get my own fish oil pills made. I'd get my own t-shirt brand made. I would just keep expanding based on the needs that I see and going from being like the drop shipper, the affiliate, to the actual product creator and 10xing my profits. So if you didn't catch that, basically it goes value first, establish and build the relationship, identify their problems, wants, needs, and desires, and only, and I mean only then do you sell them the solutions that help them get closer to the desired outcome. Once you've established that niche is good for you, then what you do is you go deep by building that niche and becoming the expert, building a real brand. So you can start out by drop shipping, you can start out by being the affiliate, you can start out by testing the waters, but then what you do is kind of like what Sebastian's doing. He figures out like, hey man, to go really big so people can't compete with me, I create a real brand. You can create a brand even when you have drop shipping, right? But he's now getting his own products manufactured, so now people can try to compete with him, but they're going to have to find a manufacturer that produces stuff as high quality as him. You start at the low end to get going, and you work your way up to the expert status and really, 10x in your profits. Now, we're almost at the end, guys. I know this is very detailed, so now we got about 5 minutes left, literally. So what I want to really share with you is basically what I gave you is a strategy, right? But in my opinion, a strategy is really useless. Even if you know what to do, if you don't have a daily plan to follow and a deadline when you'll accomplish it, you won't do it. So one thing you're going to see with both me and Sebastian, we're anal retentive about our daily schedule. Like literally the things we do, the time we go to the gym, we're both into working out, the times we work, the times we reply to emails that are needed, the times that we set up our Facebook ads, the times that we have to work on a product we're going to sell. There's a time, a plan, and a deadline for everything. There's no just like, well, I'm going to do it on Friday if I feel good. We do it every single day at a certain time. If you're in a job, this is absolutely crucial. You come home, you're tired, you're feeling, exhausted. You got to have that time that you do things. Otherwise, you'll go watch TV. So here's how most people set goals. Example number 1, I want to make 6 figures in 2018. Okay, that's a goal, but it's not really specific. Like when exactly in 2018? Example number 2, I want to lose 20 pounds and get in great shape. Okay, but how are you going to do that? What's your plan to lose the weight? You can want to lose something. You can hope, you can wish, you can dream, you can think about it, but without a plan and a time and a deadline, it's not going to happen. Now, if right now you're sold on the idea of building a list, right now you could be like, man, now that I know how much these guys make from building an email list and I see the power in it, I want to build a list. And you say, I want to build a 10,000 person list, but what's your plan to do it? What traffic source are you going to use? What kind of content are you going to create to do it? When are you going to do this by? What's the date? What's the time? You got to get very specific. If you don't plan, you're really planning to fail. It's a surefire recipe for failure. And I guarantee you, in 2019, you're going to be saying the same goals. Give me a yes. Did any of you guys set like some really ambitious goals that you wanted to achieve, and you're like, man, I'm going to dominate this year? But maybe already you're feeling a little rough about those goals. You're hoping now that like you're gonna make this happen. And part of that is probably because you don't have a real plan that you follow day in and day out. So therefore you can't really see that it's possible for you to reach that goal. What I can tell you is right now, let's say you're building your drop shipping store. You have no clue what the hell you're doing, but you're just getting started and you're like, I'm gonna figure it out. If you just did the work every single day, the basic thing you need to do, set up a campaign, test it. Set up a campaign, test it. Let's say it fails every single day. You do that for 60 days straight. There's going to be one campaign you're going to hit, and it's just going to break out, and you're going to make tons of money. But everybody else, because they didn't set that goal to stay consistent, they didn't set that goal when they're going to do it, they didn't set a goal like I'm going to launch a new campaign every single day, they never get the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So what you want to do is set a goal with a milestone. So here's an example. So you want to build a 10,000 person list. So to build my 10,000 person list, I'm going to do one high quality piece of content a week and run paid sponsored ads to it. See, very specific. Now I know what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. I want to build a 10,000 person list by December 31st, 2018. Now I have a specific deadline of how I'm going to do it. Now I break down the numbers. I need 833 leads a month, and this is rounded by the way. I need 208 leads a week, and I need 30 leads a day. That's going to hit my 10,000 mark by the end of the year. I can easily do this by creating one piece of high quality content a week and running paid ads to my content and measure my results weekly. See, like right now we have a deadline. We know that if we get to Sunday and we started on Monday and we only got 15 leads, well, we're falling, or not 15 leads, sorry, we only got, say 175 leads, right? We're falling short on the goal. We need to get that daily goal up. We have a real milestone and a real goal and a real deadline, and we know very specifically what we're doing, how we're doing it, and when we got to achieve it. This is how you hit a goal. This is how you become a winner. Now, for me, one thing I do, because I'm like ADD. I haven't been diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure. And so I literally surround my whole office. Like, I can't get away from it. If I want to procrastinate and go watch YouTube videos for fun, I literally look over to the side and I'm like, oh man, I see everything written down on my calendar for like literally 30 days out minimum. I have 2 of these in my office and they're like staring me in the face right in front of my computer. So I know every single day what I got to do. And what I do is I draw little check boxes. So every single day I have like, say, 3 things to do. It's kind of like when you go to school and you get that cool little sticker, if they ever did that. Maybe I'm just old. Basically, they give you stickers for doing the things and it feels good because you get the stickers. And that's what you're going for, checking off that box every day that you got your stuff done. So here's your homework. Number 1, research and pick a niche if you don't already have one. Number 2, research your audience to learn how it can help them. Decide on the content medium you'll focus on. So you got to pick your platform. Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook ads? Make your content calendar to stay on track. So you got to basically know, what content you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Start creating content consistently. I don't care if it's 1 a week. Start with 1 a week. Then work yourself up to 2. Then work yourself up to 3. And then eventually you can even hire a team like what me and Sebastian do, where you don't have to do a lot of it yourself. Number 6, most important, is build the email list. If you got one thing from this whole presentation, even if you don't have the whole clue of how to build a list, you should be obsessed right now with the thought that I'm going to build a list. Even if I don't know how to build a list, I'm going to figure out how to build a list. So with that being said, anybody has any questions, I'll answer them now. I'm going to pull up the chat box so I can actually see. All right, guys, anybody that has any questions, if you noted anything down, just let me know if something didn't make clear. Let me know if you need a question to go into an example of how it might work for your business. All right, so Juan says, you said to create a Facebook group and invite your audience to join it. But what about when you're just starting out? People are not going to want to join if it's a brand new group without members. So one of the things I suggest here, Juan, that's a good question. I didn't even think about that. So for me, when I first started, what I did is I started creating content myself in the group, so that way it didn't look like when they go in the group it's empty. And then I waited till I had I think maybe a list of maybe 500. And then I started it out by just inviting people in there consistently. Because when I first started out, I did free traffic 100%. And so basically I would get maybe on a good day 25 leads if I was lucky. That was like at my peak. And so what I would do is basically it was like trickling in. So in the beginning, it was a very small group, but I kept building it. And even right now, I canned my old group. It had 2,000-3,000 members. The new one I have now is 1,000 members. And so you don't need as many people as you think you need in that group. But I would say wait till you get about 500 subscribers. Then from there, just keep pushing people in there every day. So for me on the thank you page, it's to me, that's the most valuable piece of real estate. I don't use it to sell. I use it to push them into the Facebook group. What do you use for your email grabs? ClickFunnels. Absolutely. That's my tool of choice, Cameron. ClickFunnels is what I use consistently. I'm not really sure what WooBox is. At the end of the day, here's my thought process on that. For me personally, I love ClickFunnels just because I hate tech. It stresses me out. I don't really like doing it. With ClickFunnels, it's drag and drop friendly. But if you can figure out how to use the tool, let's say you're on a budget, don't use that as an excuse. I can't afford ClickFunnels. Just go find something that can work and then make some money and reinvest. But just use what will work for you. At the end of the day, if you can build your list, you can do it. Let's see, Marlene. How do you write content about a product, unicorn mug, and a sales funnel to that? I understand how it works for digital products, but not for products like digital products or physical. All right, so if I was doing for say unicorn mugs, right? And I don't know, Sebastian may tell you different. This is just personally what I would do. I would create my whole niche around unicorns, right? I would create on my fan page, I would create quotes or cool memes with unicorns. I'd find any kind of videos or anything like that. I would literally search the web for what other brands that are all about unicorns, and I would find all kinds of cool stuff to post like that. So realize content doesn't necessarily need to be written. So if it's a physical product brand, sometimes it's videos, you're just sharing and syndicating other people's content. I showed you with the Paul My Gosh, they don't even create their own content. It's all user generated. So basically people submit pictures of their dogs, or basically they find YouTube videos and share the YouTube videos. So you can find stuff that even people made, and you can share that. So sometimes like in niches like that, you're just gonna like make quotes and images and stuff like that. What Facebook ads you use to get leads on Facebook and or your Facebook group? Facebook leads are expensive. How about a landing page? All right, so for example, like I'll be 100% honest with you. Like I said, like Facebook ads are like something that's like Sebastian's your expert there. Like he's your guy to ask, really. Like even though like Sebastian originally learned from me, I'm humble enough to say that I like when I want to learn something and master something, I go to the people I think that are the best. And I had the opportunity. There was a guy I was looking at that like most people consider like the main expert, and for me personally, I chose to go to him over the other guy. And it was just because I trusted him. So what I can tell you, for example, like with Facebook ads, is when you build a sales funnel that converts. And by converts, I mean if you could spend $1, you get $1 back, right? You break even. I'm sure if you understand paid traffic, you've heard that term. You would spend unlimited dollars, right? Because once you build that list and you break even, you can keep selling those people more things. So for me, basically what I'm doing while I'm here, I'm building my new sales funnel, is my whole goal is not to profit. And the reason being is because I want to break even. And if I break even and somebody tries to rip off my product, rip off my funnel, most people, if they just break even, they're going to quit. And for me, I'm going to be doing backflips because I know that I can literally just like craft up an offer later that year and do like $1 million product launch. So for me, my whole philosophy is ads are not expensive. It's expensive if you're not converting. But if you build a funnel that you spend $1 and get $1 back, you just spend as many dollars as fast as you can. As far as like a landing page, you know, what I suggest, like, I don't know what your niche is, like what niche you're doing, but go find somebody that's in your niche that's doing it. You see they're running ads like nonstop, and that's your sign. They're breaking even or they're profiting on the front end, and that's why they're running the ad. And then what you do is you try to figure out first how to make your own version of their ad, then from there you pivot once you start learning things. Your emails, do you add a lot of pictures or just simple, mostly text? For my niche, I just use text. It depends on what you're doing, Cameron. Like if you're in like physical products, I'd probably honestly do like what I showed you with 𝐼𝐸𝐿. If you're in a digital product niche, I kind of look at like email. Like I try to think of every traffic source I use. I look at like the medium. So like email, I'm gonna write email because people are used to writing email. If I'm on YouTube, obviously I'm gonna do a video. If I'm on Facebook, I'm probably gonna do videos or maybe some like quote images. If I'm on Instagram, obviously it's images now. Also, it's moving to like 60-minute videos. I create the content specific to the platform. So for me, I always try to go simple. And the reason being is, I'll be honest, like if I can be lazy and get away with minimal and still make great results, I'm gonna go simple any day before I go complex. What are the best free traffic methods if you're just starting out? Well, since you said other than YouTube, I was going to tell you YouTube is a gold mine. Honestly, that's my favorite platform. My secondary one I would probably recommend is Instagram. Like right now, like Sebastian, like he loves Instagram. Like for me, I honestly want to be doing Instagram, but like I'm really just focusing on Facebook ads this year and YouTube. But honestly, probably if my entrepreneur ADD kicks in, I'll probably be migrating over to Instagram quite soon too. Great content, well worth the course, blowed my mind. That is exactly what I needed. So one thing I want you guys to do is to commit. Is that like even if like you thought the information was valuable and it blew your mind, just implement one thing. Don't try to implement everything I taught you guys. That's the one thing that like will freak you out. Like realize like I've been practicing this stuff for like 4 straight years. Sebastian's been doing this for several years. Start like with baby steps and just like, okay, I'm going to first build my list. Just figure out like how to set up your list. And from there, like, okay, now I'm going to figure out like how to communicate with that list and then build the relationships so they buy stuff, get a few sales, and then keep doing better and better and to get to the point where you literally just print money. Alex, how much would it be a good amount of audience to target in Facebook with a $5 daily budget for leads? Example, target 100,000 to 200,000 people. Sebastian, that's your thing. What would you say?
So it's pretty much the question is, what's the budget to reach X amount of people? Can you repeat the question? It's just that I didn't quite get it.
Okay, so he says...
actually, you know what? Here it is. No worries. Okay, I can read it. How to effectively catch visitors' email?
No, that's not it. Here, I'll read it to you. How much would be a good amount of audience to target in Facebook with a $5 daily budget for leads? Example, target 100,000 to 200,000 people.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. So, pretty much like the audience is not a problem if you're spending like $5 a day. Why? Because like you could literally be targeting a 50,000 people audience with $5, and you won't reach the 50,000 people in a few like until some weeks, right? If you tell me like, hey, you know what, I have a bigger budget, maybe $300 per day, and I'm gonna be creating maybe like 3 ad sets, so you're going to be spending $100 per ad set. It means that each audience in each ad set has to have a big audience. Why? Because if you spend $100 a day, then you're going to be running through your audience pretty quickly. So honestly, like the bigger the budget, the bigger the audience. And I always tell my students like the bigger the audience, the better, as long as it's precise, right? So if you are on the dog niche and you don't want to limit yourself to a small audience, because if not, you won't be able to scale. And if you are ready to scale, you will have to look for a new audience, right? So what I suggest you do is do your research, find some interests that have maybe, I would say 100,000 plus, right? And I wouldn't be worried about reaching all these people in the beginning if you're investing $5 a day, because that's a really low budget, right? If you invest $200 a day or maybe $500 a day, now we're talking about reaching more people faster. So I would consider going into the millions. Honestly, like most of my interests, they are, I would say, I have no range, because that really, I don't know, that's really like, it varies from niche to niche and has a lot of different variations. So I don't really take a look at the range. I just go like, okay, the bigger the better, as long as it's precise. So that's usually means that I go for millions, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. But if you find a great audience, right, a great interest, and it's 50,000 people, and you say, you know what, my budget is $5, then go for it. You won't have any trouble. And if it's converting, that might mean that from the 50,000 people, maybe you manage to generate 1,000 leads, and 1,000 leads, and it can make you $5,000, right? So that's how you gotta see it.
All right. Next question. How do you deal with copyrights from creating content? All right. So, David, this is one that I just avoid altogether. Like personally, like for me, and it depends on obviously where you're at, because like I don't know. Some people, if you get involved with like copyrights, they'll sue you just to make an example of you, right? So for me, if like I think that it's a copyright problem, I just avoid it. So example, like say I wanted to create something in the niche, and something I see like a lot of people do on Instagram, especially like in the entrepreneur niche, they'll use like, I don't know, like say take a big movie star and put their face on it, and they're putting their personal brand, their logo, and then making some saying, right? At the end of the day, that movie star, if they wanted to make an example out of you, like they could just sue the pants off of you. So what I would do is I would find like a generic image and like edit it and put the quote on it. Or if I was like, I wanted to use something, I'd find a workaround and create something with stock imagery and edit the image, or something that's different than like, it's just not worth it, man. Is what I'm trying to tell you. Like one bad move, if they want to make an example out of you, they really can. I just don't think it's worth it altogether. How to effectively catch visitor emails on your website. I just set up an opt-in on my website. It's about 5% of visitors signed up in my first 2 days. Retargeting. So one of the biggest things that I really screwed up in the early days is really just putting opt-in forms, and it works. But you're not going to have like a massive conversion. Like say if you're doing like a sidebar opt-in on your blog, you're going to get like that 5% conversion, right? Not a whole lot of people are going to do it. If you do like in-post opt-ins, like that's basically like an opt-in inside of the post. It's like very specific. A lot of people refer to this as a content upgrade. So that's like, say I'm talking about YouTube marketing. Like what would make strategic sense is to create a freebie about YouTube. You're going to get like a 30 to 50% opt-in at that point, because it's very targeted inside of the blog post. Compared to if I had like a generic opt-in, it's like how to build your business. It's maybe some people will want it, but they were reading about YouTube. Now I'm trying to teach them about how to start a generic business. It just doesn't align. Those were like mistakes I made in the early days. Now, like if I'm talking about YouTube, I'm going to give them an opt-in about YouTube. That's gonna crush your conversions right there. So a good one would be $5 and run the ad for as long as possible. Sebastian, did you hear that?
Yeah. So a good one would be $5 and run the ad Yeah, man. Like you can do that. What I always do is I always split test audiences. So if you have one campaign, inside that campaign, you want to have multiple ad sets. And really the purpose of the ad sets is so you can split your audience like in segments. You can segment your audience so that you're not like overlapping everything. So pretty much my advice is if you have a $5 budget per day, then I wouldn't create like one ad set. I would actually create 5 and just put a $1 budget per ad set. That way you can like test 5 audiences, $1 each. And yeah, I think that's a better strategy.
All right, cool. So, all right, guys, last chance. If you have any more questions, throw them in. I have no problem sitting around answering if you have any questions related to what I talk about. Thank you, Zach and Sebastian. Amazing first webinar. You're welcome. Okay, let's see. All right, I'm selling men's grooming products, and there are so many Facebook groups from my competitors. I just created several product videos, and this lecture gives me the confidence to keep doing it. Any special tips for physical products other than digital products in terms of what value I should share in my Facebook group or video productions? I'm sure Sebastian will have like specific tips on like doing it. I know me personally, I would like create videos of actually people like, wearing the product and looking like they're happy. This is psychology and copywriting. So I'd create like, people are out like, like outside on the beach or outside doing something. They look like they're happy in the clothes. And so it's showing it off. That's personally what I would do. But one thing I was gonna point in there is that when you're creating content in the beginning, especially when you're building a brand, what you want to realize, and this is something like me and Sebastian have talked about all day long, like when you're building the brand in the beginning, nobody's listening, nobody's really paying attention, right? And you got to have that long-term like vision where you can see ahead of the time. You can see like, hey, if I do this for 3 months, 6 months, a year, it's just going to keep compounding. So in the beginning, when you're posting content, a lot of people probably aren't paying attention to you. Part of that could be maybe because you haven't learned to dial in the message yet. You haven't learned how to connect with your audience as well. Part of it could just be because you're just, you're kind of bootstrapping it and like only a handful of people are doing it. But one thing I always tell like my people, especially like, cause like I focus on digital products, right? And I see a lot of people like they'll create a video or they'll create like a Facebook post and they're like, oh, it only got 2 likes or only 3 people are watching my live stream. But what I try to make them realize is like that's 3 real people. And so in the beginning, there's nothing wrong with being small. If you're small and just getting started, you got to start where you're at and just keep at it, and then it compounds. And then once you push that boulder up the hill, from there it just keeps rolling. Any other way to check your niche is a good one besides dummies.com. Amazon. That's where I would go, Marlene. I'd go to Amazon because at the end of the day, like if you go to any of those main categories on Amazon, and like there's a lot of products there for sale, like it's good. Like me personally, like I don't like whatever I do, I don't want to go into a small niche. I want to go into it where it's filthy competitive. This is just my thinking. I know like as a beginner, like especially when you're just getting started, if I put my like self back in the perspective when I started, and I know even when I first started like playing around with drop shipping, like I went back to the role I started when I was brand new, like starting online. I'm like, man, I just got to find a niche so there's not as much competition. I'm going to be able to kill it. And then I realized like you can't really scale that. And so you want to go like where it's really, really competitive, where lots of people are making money. I mean, there's a reason like, for instance, people make money online courses. There's a reason people play the dating niche or anything with relationships because you can't fight the desire to have a mate. There's a reason people are in, the weight loss niche. So even in drop shipping, right? For me, what switched when I actually started creating a campaign that was making me $100 a day, $200 a day, was going to the point of like finding stuff that was really competitive and finding lots of people selling products in there. And that was my hint, like, hey, if they're selling things, I just need to get one product in this niche that works and I can make consistent money with it. Now, I'm no Sebastian when it comes to physical products, but that's personally what I did. Guys, you're amazing, at least for the video content to get our leads, advice for easy use app that we can use to learn how to edit our videos and provide something professional. All right, so if you're editing videos, basically like what I suggest is start simple. Like it's really nice to want to do super like professional stuff in the beginning. But what I can tell you is like what's funny is I think simple works better. Like before, even example like on Facebook ads, I seen in the beginning everybody was doing like super professional stuff. And now, like, the ones that look like you just shot it with your smartphone seems to be the ones that are crushing it because it looks like more native. It looks more natural to the platform. If you look at even on YouTube, like, there's people that have amazing production of content, but then the people that are really killing it, they're using their iPhone. So, I mean, if you have a smartphone, you can like shoot some pretty good videos. As far as like actual, if you're talking about like physical products, I'm sure Sebastian can like give you a few examples, but for me, I don't know. I just like simplicity. Everything I do, I try to do simplicity. All right, guys. I think. Let's see. Okay, the course is worth it already. I'm glad I could help. I think I got all the questions answered. So I'll tell you what. If for some reason, like, you guys just think of something randomly extra, just like post in the group. Tell Sebastian like, hey, I want to know this, and I mean, he can ask me and I'll give you the answer. I want to remind you guys, like, I'm giving you guys my slides, so like probably let's say tomorrow. I don't know how soon he'll get it up, but I got like another 4-part like video series, which basically it walks you through everything in detail, how to set up what I taught you, and then on top of it, you're getting all my slides. So you're gonna get a PDF, for instance, if you didn't get all your notes down, you literally can have those slides, so that way you can implement all of it. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys got at least one valuable tip you can walk away with. I know I'm not like a drop shipper, and a lot of you guys are, but I guarantee you, if you think and you brainstorm, you're going to be able to figure out ideas that you can apply this even in the digital or in the physical space and blow your business up. So I hope I can at least add to your stuff. Yep.
Sorry, just gonna jump in here and kind of like close it here. Well, first of all, I really appreciate just sharing this value. Actually, I've been paying attention, like just laser focus on the presentation, because honestly, there was like 2 hours of just pure hammering value to everyone. So really appreciate that. And apart from that, guys, if you actually got value out of this, something really cool that you could actually do is go to the group and actually on the post that announces Zach's presentation, Zach's lesson, just leave a comment just telling us if you found it valuable, what tips you're actually going to be implementing in your business. So not only if you found it valuable, but which pieces and which tips are you actually going to be implementing in your business, because some of you guys have e-commerce businesses, others have business about services. We have a little bit of everything here on Social Experts. So it would be really cool to see actually what thing you're taking out of the presentation and actually going to be implementing within the next hours, right? 24 hours, 48 hours. And so you can just go to the group. That would be extremely cool. And apart from that, really appreciate you, Zach. And well, we have a lot of positive feedback. So obviously this was super helpful. And the resources are going to be available. I'm going to be announcing that in the group. But apart from that, man, Zach, thank you very much again. And yeah, guys, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Bye-bye.